is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Bursting from the seams, Princess Margaret Hospital said to be in crisis mode. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe is about-face on settlement disclosures. And the Prime Minister touting the new carbon credits bill while blasting the former administration. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahams. It is Friday, July 15th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, we are going to be talking about Bahamianisms and the ones that sometimes annoy people. This might step on a few toes today, but we're going to be getting into it. We're going to try to do better as we head toward the 50th anniversary. Or maybe these are things that are uniquely Bahamian and we should embrace them. We'll get your views on that as well. That's coming up. Later in Morning Blend Business, we are talking with the Bahamian Contractors Association. They've got some new developments and more. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, more than 50 patients waiting admission to Princess Margaret Hospital after a massive influx of non-COVID-19 patients pushing the hospital into crisis mode. That's according to Minister of Health, Dr. Michael Darfel. He said that patients will be transferred to Doctors Hospital West to help alleviate the burden. He says they have patients who have COVID-19, but what they're seeing is a large number of individuals who are suffering from chronic non-communicable diseases presenting at Princess Margaret Hospital, presenting in the accident and emergency section there. When asked about the cost to transfer the patients from Premation to Doctors Hospital, the minister said, quote, "We are actually in crisis mode. The economic impact associated with that transfer is something that we will have to address, but the health and safety of the patients who are currently at Princess Margaret Hospital is paramount." PHA Managing Director Arvinette Rolls noting that the hospitals facing challenges with the infrastructure and human capital, particularly with nurses. Although National Security Minister Wayne Monroe said in the House on Wednesday that it is unwise and not sensible for the government to disclose what it pays out in lawsuit settlements, Monroe in 2018 had expressed an opposite view, advising that secret agreements potentially expose the public purse to abuse. His comments in a 2018 Tribune article were shared on social media yesterday. Monroe made the statement 4 years ago after that newspaper reported that the government had reached a mutual agreement with former Christie administration senior advisor Subaltern Bethel over contracts the government initially declined to honor. It was reported at that time that Prime Minister Hubert Minnis terminated Subaltern's contract in 2017. Minnis said that Subaltern's contract was extended 2 weeks before the 2017 general election, and his salary increased from $140,000 to $200,000. At the time, then Attorney General Carl Bethel declined to reveal the terms of the agreement, citing confidentiality. Monroe stated that the secrecy involving taxpayer funds prohibits accountability. Read more on that in today's Nassau Guardian. Touting the new carbon credits trading bill as innovative and transformative, Prime Minister Philip Davis blasted the Minnis administration's, quote, arrogant and out-of-touch leadership over the past 4 years. He said, quote, "We are not here to preserve the status quo, nor are we here to conduct business as usual." Davis leading off debate on the bill in the House yesterday. He said the goal of the administration is to govern with unprecedented integrity while empowering Bahamians at all levels of society in a more prosperous, diversified, and equitable economy. And an environmental coalition has proposed a two-step strategy for banning oil exploration in the Bahamas. Step 1 calls for the cabinet to declare an immediate moratorium on oil drilling, and Step 2 calls for a permanent ban. The Our Islands, Our Future coalition yesterday expressing serious concern while the government has recently distanced itself from offshore oil drilling, it is not committed to a moratorium or a permanent ban on petroleum exploration or production, which leaves the real possibility that another drilling proposal could land on the doorstep. And a man accused of murder denied bail for his safety and the protection of the public. Prosecutors allege that Orville Forbes is responsible for the September 28, 2021 shooting death of Kevin McKenzie. The 35-year-old McKenzie was sitting on a porch in front of his home in the Windsor Park government complex, known as the Big Yard. That's when a gunman came from behind the building and shot him multiple times. Justice Janine Weish Gomez said she believed that Forbes should remain on remand for his own safety and for that of the public. Most of the murder victims this year were on bail for murder. Weish Gomez says that despite Forbes admitting that he feared for his safety, he still wanted to be released on bail. But Forbes said, quote, "I'd rather be on the road than be in jail still." Forbes says that he was going through a lot of things in jail. The judge asked Forbes how his right hand got broken. He declined to reply. And Chief Passport Officer Kingsley Smith says that the fact that passports are being printed in Grand Bahama instead of New Providence has not created any delays at the passport office. Smith confirming that the machine that prints passports in New Providence is down, citing routine maintenance. He also confirmed that passports are being printed in Freeport, but asserted that any delays customers are experiencing are due to the fact that it's the passports office peak season and not because of printing issues. Taking note of complaints on social media, Smith sought to give assurances that the delays causing those complaints are standard fare for this time of year and not related to the issues with passport production. In fact, he pointed out that passports printed in Freeport are in Nassau within 24 hours of production. Overseas, Russian missiles striking a city in central Ukraine, killing at least 23 people and wounding more than 100 others far from the front lines. Ukraine's president accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilians in locations without military value. Officials say Kalibr cruise missiles fired from a Russian ship in the Black Sea and damaged a medical clinic, offices, stores, and residential buildings in the city of Vinnytsia. That's about 167 miles southwest of the capital of Kyiv. The governor of the region saying Ukrainian air defenses downed 2 of the 4 incoming Russian missiles. The national police chief said only 6 bodies had been identified so far, while 39 people are still missing. 3 children younger than 10 were among the dead. Of the 66 people hospitalized, 5 remained in critical condition, while 34 sustained severe injuries. In sports, DeAndre Ayton making big news in the NBA. Phoenix Suns big man could have been joining fellow Bahamian Shavano Buddy Hield in Indiana for the NBA season, as reported by his agents that he signed a 4-year, $133 million maximum contract offer with the Indiana Pacers. And it could have been the first time that 2 Bahamians would play on the same team, but late in the evening, Phoenix decided they weren't going to let him slip away. According to a person with knowledge of the situation, the Suns quickly decided to match the $133 million 4-year offer. This was first reported by The Athletic. The move means that the Suns, at least for now, keep their nucleus of Ayton and the all-star backcourt of Devin Booker and Chris Paul. The trio pushed Phoenix to the NBA Finals in 2021 and a franchise record 64 wins during the most recent regular season. The number 1 pick in the 2018 draft, Ayton was eligible to get an extension from Phoenix last summer. That didn't happen, and he became a restricted free agent this summer, meaning Phoenix had the chance to match any offers. Once Indiana made its move, the Suns countered quickly. Phoenix has been linked to interest in acquiring Brooklyn star Kevin Durant during the offseason, but Ayton can't be used as trade bait because of this new deal. The Suns' move is a blow to the Pacers, though, who are hoping to add Ayton as a pivotal piece in a promising young core that includes our own Buddy Hield. Ayton, who turns 24 later this month, had a shaky start to his career but became a critical component in the Suns' run to the finals. He's part of the 2018 draft class that includes Dallas' Luka Doncic and Atlanta's Trae Young. The 2 guards have had more individual success, but neither has made it as far in the playoffs. And from track and field, Team Bahamas will be missing a huge piece, but there's still ultimate optimism for the now 16-member team that will begin competition today in Eugene, Oregon. The 18th World Athletic Outdoor Championships get underway today and run through July 24th at historic Hayward Field in Eugene. World and Olympic champion Stephen Gardner pulled out of the men's 400 meters on Monday. He was a strong contender for the gold medal. 2-time Olympic champion Shane Miliwibo will be there, though, and going for gold in the 400 meters. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've had a very rocky start to the morning. A thunderstorm warning in effect for New Providence, North Andros, Abaco, Berry Islands, Eleuthera. Thunderstorm watch in effect for Grand Bahama as well. This is until 7:20, might be extended. We'll let you know. But we're seeing thunderstorms with severe, strong, gusty winds, dangerous lightning, heavy downpours, hail, and possible waterspout activity. Localized flooding has been happening definitely here in New Providence. What's going on exactly? Well, we have a mid to upper level low pressure system that continues to support pockets of unsettled weather across the northwest and central Bahamas, while high pressure anchored north of the area will generate moderate to fresh easterly winds across the area. Boaters and residents should be alert for waterspout or tornado activity. Beachgoers should exercise caution as there's a moderate to high risk of rip currents, and localized flooding, as we said, has been happening in low-lying and flood-prone areas during heavy and or prolonged rainfall events. And even despite this, everyone's being advised to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities due to high heat indices. So quite a bit happening. For all areas today, variably cloudy to overcast, hot and breezy with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly across the northwest and central Bahamas. That's going to continue through tonight. Some showers may be locally heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Small craft caution remains in effect for the central and southeast Bahamas. Small craft should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest Bahamas, easterly at 15 to 20 knots in the central and southeastern islands. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the northwest Bahamas, 4 to 7 feet in the central and southeastern islands. Temperatures today getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make it feel like it's 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook and look at the tropics coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way.
It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
It's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
At Esso, we're thankful for you. So we're giving away thousands of dollars in free fuel. Just fuel up with any amount at any Esso service station, and you could be randomly selected to win a $50 fuel voucher. There will be over 100 lucky winners every week. It's that simple. Fuel up with any amount at any Esso service station for your chance to win. Special conditions apply. Visit facebook.com/Salt Petroleum Bahamas for more details. Promotion ends July 22nd, 2022. The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
When faced with an illness like cancer, we band together. And we at Cleveland Clinic in Florida have your back. From advanced cancer treatments to extra safety measures at all of our locations, we're with you on this journey. For every infusion and follow-up, for every step of the way, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic in Florida. Get the care you need when and where you need it. To learn more or connect with a local representative, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Float Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Stephen Hanna. Good morning, Stephen Hanna.
Hey, what's up?
Hope you're doing well on this Friday morning.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay. Well,
Why not?
yeah. Well, coming up this morning, we have more business news. Well, that's coming up in our 9 o'clock hour, and we've got traffic and weather. And we're going to have a discussion, a very interesting discussion, in light of the anniversary of independence. We're talking about Bahamianisms. We're going to talk about the ones that...
What does that mean?
Well, we'll explain when we get there. Some things that Bahamians say that...
You mean idioms?
We're going to try to make it simple for people. That's not what we're talking about, right? So things that Bahamians say that annoy some people and cause
idioms.
confusion.
There's a word for it.
Yeah, we're going to
You're not
simplify
simplifying
it.
it by making up
Okay,
new
well,
things.
Stephen, we're going to talk about that
Well,
today.
my Bahamianism that I hate is Bahamianism. I hate when people
Well,
make up a word.
Make up a word. All right.
That is
well,
inorganic and there's no reason
well,
for it.
you don't understand what it means exactly.
Nope, I
because
didn't.
we're not talking about all idioms. We're talking about all
Bahamian
Bahamianisms.
idioms. That's what idiom means.
Okay, but Bahamianisms. But that's fine.
Stop trying to make it a thing.
You don't have to complain about it.
I do.
You don't. No,
It's
you don't.
It's the one that I find
We're going to talk.
annoying.
Can Bahamians who complain all the time be a Bahamianism that we are annoyed with?
It depends.
Yeah, that'll be one. Number one,
Is it a saying or is it an action?
just an action. So it's not just sayings. It's going to be
Okay,
things
well
that we
then,
do, right? So things that we say and do that seem to be uniquely Bahamian that we want to move away from, hopefully, or maybe, as we said, maybe these will be things that.
Idiomatic expressions.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just saying the words already.
Things that that maybe these make us unique, and we should celebrate as we march toward the 50th. So we're going to get into that this morning. Later, we're going to be talking with the Bahamian Contractors Association, and they've got a lot going on as well. So an interesting morning ahead. Stephen's in fine form today, and we will begin, though, with what's in the news. People already texting in, some of them. This one here, though, is not just a Bahamian thing, but we'll get into that. The people write am instead of I'm. That's very common, sadly, among English speakers. But hey, we'll get into that. In the news, though, PMH bursting from the seams. The hospital is said to be in crisis mode, according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. Just Wednesday, we had Dr. Dwayne Sands, who basically said these same things: bursting at the seams, nurse shortages, and many of these horrible issues there. So what are we going to do about it? Take a listen to this report from our media partners at Our News and Berthany McDermott.
Today, the situation has been in the overflow, and the hospital is presently bursting from the seams.
According to officials, up to 54 patients are awaiting beds at PMH, resulting in doctors' hospitals stepping in to assist. Darville says the influx of patients started a few days ago, which has escalated to a massive flow of individuals dealing with non-communicable diseases. As a result, he said at least 30 patients were moved to Doctors Hospital West to be treated. At the time, he was unable to say how much this partnership is costing the public purse.
We are actually in crisis mode. The economic impact associated with the transfer is something that we will have to address, but the health and safety of the patients who are presently here at the Princess Margaret Hospital is paramount.
The situation has also impacted operations at Accident and Emergency, the emergency service workers warning that the public can experience longer wait times due to limited resources. The issues stemming from a major shortage of nurses and structural issues and a lack of equipment like beds and trolleys.
We are looking elsewhere in the world to recruit additional nurses, particularly specialty nurses. We have a lot of nurses that are graduating from the College of the Bahamas that we are going to employ. We are looking to bring nurses who are in retirement back into service. We're looking at the possibility of doing sessionals with nurses, but we do have a challenge.
In hopes of providing more bed space and additional equipment soon, there was a temporary fix until the construction of the new hospitals promised by the Davis administration when taking office.
We would have found a company that we would work with to be able to do what we call modular units. I'm not sure if any of you got to see that in Hawksville Clinic post-Dorian. So these units allow us now to be able to attend to the patient in a more dignified fashion.
Despite this current situation, the health minister is seeking to allay any fears, assuring everything is under control. Dr. Darville advising anyone dealing with critical issues to still come to the hospital. Christina?
Okay. Bethany McDermott with that report there. All right, so here we are again. It's definitely not the first time, but we have it now, and it is a problem. So, what happens now? What do we do? What do we do? Let's get your views on it. Give us a call. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796.
All right, so, I mean, is this a result of, like, you know, COVID finally being over, that people who had non-COVID related issues are finally allowed in the hospital? Is that what this is? Like, this is more like a...
It sounds like that's part of it.
Pressure, valve-release situation.
People who weren't getting treatment during that pandemic, the height of the pandemic, got much worse, and now are having to be admitted to the hospital in great numbers, as we're hearing as well.
And I think that's definitely a thing in all sectors. Like yesterday when the commissioner was here speaking about, I think, the British High Commission, when she's talking about, I think, visas for
British
students.
High Commissioner.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like, because everything was on hold for so long, then suddenly now everything's new. So, like, this isn't surprising. The question is always going to be how any of this is going to be filled, because I feel like for the past 3-4 years, maybe longer, we've had nurses and doctors complaining about payment.
Yeah.
And
well, that's an interesting point you made up, though. So here's the thing, right? So if you miss the first week of school or your vacation, oh well. But people who step on a rusty nail or get shot and right, get in a car accident, they're gonna have a problem, right?
So
it's.
But the thing is,
very serious.
It is very serious. But now the question is, where do you put that? Where do you put the weight of that seriousness? Do you put the weight, because it's still one body. Each human being only has one body, and the person who you're asking to serve them is only capable of doing so much. You know, they don't have infinite strength and infinite time to serve everybody. So clearly we need more people. How do you compensate these new people as well as keep on the existing ones? Because you don't want to just like, oh, well, we gained 5, but we lost 10. You don't want that. So all of this is just a matter of how are they going to make that happen, and where is the funding going to come from?
That's part of it, though. They're also having a bed capacity crisis. So
bed capacity crisis.
What are you going to do? Put people on the floor? Cots?
They're already in cots. So I don't.
Yeah. So.
But once again, some of the stuff
It's a perfect storm. It's everything happening at the same time.
It's not a perfect storm. This is the slowest building storm ever because it's been like that from when I was a child and probably before that.
Still a storm.
I'm not saying this is not a storm. I'm just saying it's the slowest storm ever. But once again, if you have the manpower inside these facilities to help get like people turned, because some of these persons who are coming in, accident emergency is always full because there are people who like, oh, I need help with a certain thing or whatever, and they might be able to be discharged. Yeah. But if there's only a certain number of doctors and it's 8 and 10 times that many patients, somebody who could easily be treated and discharged might take longer.
Yeah.
And, gunshot wounds come first. So if you're about to get served, like it's only 4 more hours for you to wait before you get served, and then somebody gets shot and brought in, you could easily be there. I've waited in the hospital personally for 14 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Never got served.
Wow.
Right?
Well, that's the other thing, right? So manpower is the hardest thing to fix.
I'm saying that's the main thing, because if you fix manpower, not everybody needs a bed. Not everybody needs to be seated in the hospital for 24 hours before they see a doctor, if they could see a doctor in the first hour.
Yeah.
But you'd have to have that number of doctors. How do you attract those doctors to work there or to remain there? When literally, like I said, for the past 3-4 years, maybe longer, you've had doctors complaining that they don't feel as though they're being compensated fairly. Yeah. The same thing with the nurses. Like, how do you fix? That's what you got to figure out.
Right.
How do we address that?
All right, let's go to the phone lines. They're all lit up. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Stephen. What you guys are saying this morning is correct, totally, quite correct. Understand? And Stephen, to fix that problem is correct. What you say, you pay them. You have to pay the doctors and the nurses. It make no sense putting a Band-Aid on that hospital after that was condemned from, the 90s, early 90s, by going all around the world to get cheap nurse labor. Fix it. So Bahamian nurses and stuff can have first preference to the hospital and then anybody else. Mr. Dabble, them ain't just nobody's problem. We were singing this through the pandemic, like Stephen said, that you can't close your frontline clinics. You got people with cancer. My mother-in-law dead, couldn't get in to follow up treatment. You understand? I don't know what Dr. Minister was thinking about when he shut the entire hospital down. You don't do that. They frontline workers, that's what they sign on for. It's like an army. When I signed for the Air Force, if any war did break out, I couldn't break off running. I had to go forward. Yeah. And who do we blame for that, Dwight? I'd like to hear you and Stephen answer. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, hindsight is, as they say, right? So people thought they were doing the right thing. This is what the whole world's response was. People were warning that this was going to be a problem. Many were saying that, and they were, treated poorly.
So, yes, I hear what you're saying, right? And while if one person thinks legitimately that what they're doing is the right decision, then of course. But I think also what is important is that we don't actually know how many dissenting voices there were behind closed doors saying no. And to what extent those voices were even allowed to voice their opinion before decisions were made, because once again, power was consolidated. I'm saying.
Well,
we don't know exactly what was happening.
The doctors were saying this is what we need to do. And in a medical crisis like that, health crisis, you would think you would listen to the doctors, and that's what they did.
If you think that all doctors is on the same page, anyway, neither here nor there. But yes, hindsight being 2020, we realize now that's not the direction. Not in this way. Don't swing so far hard left or right.
Right. Yeah.
You gotta strike a balance somehow. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we're at.
Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, all. To what?
Hi. Good morning.
We in the Bahamas, right? We still on that Chicago School of Economics, that Milton Friedman text. agencies in Europe has moved away from that because it never worked. I mean, it failed. You know, that privatization of the public good market, you know, like healthcare and education and the like. But our Prime Minister continues to preach that he wants to privatize the hospitals. He wants privatized medicines. He wants privatized prisons. You know, and
Which
I don't
Prime
understand
Minister?
it.
Who says this?
Well, he talks about public-private partnerships in hospitals. You know, all the new hospitals that he have on the table to build a private hospital, so-called public-private hospitals.
No, public-private partnership isn't the same thing as private ownership.
Yes, no public-private partnership thing. That does not work.
Yeah, it's because we don't have all the money that's needed to do this.
I mean, it doesn't
So
it
you
never
need
works
to
in
get
Europe.
help.
It isn't working in Europe. They failed in Europe, so they reversed it all. You know,
It's very broad, and I don't think you're accurate. It depends on where you are. In different places, different things are working. Well, perhaps what we're doing here is not working, but I don't know what you're suggesting.
Well, no, I mean, so okay, it's several things. So it's like, I mean, whereas I usually agree with him, the public-private partnership is more of an economic situation where if you have to pay people for their labor, even if you're not paying them as fairly as they should be compensated, you have to pay on some level, right? You can't build a new hospital from air. Right? Like, you can't make people build stuff for free. That's slavery, right? So you have to get the money from somewhere. The public-private partnership doesn't make the public hospital property of a private entity. We're getting the funding from them because the money has to come from somewhere. I mean, the alternative to that would be we increase taxes and then directly deliver those taxes to something. But under the present system that we have, that's just going to go in a consolidated fund, and suddenly we'll discover that there are 30 other things that are more important. You want to say something about local government?
No. I'm thinking I have had the British High Commissioner on and the Canadian equivalent, and I'm thinking I need to get some people on to talk about what people need to do who want to move to socialist countries, maybe Cuba and Venezuela, what they need to do to go there, since that's what they want so badly.
What are you talking about? There are other countries with socialist
I'm just saying,
programs.
all of them. I'll let you know how you can move there.
Like Sweden and Switzerland?
Okay.
So
those who wish to have those systems can move to
only
those
call
places.
off the ones that are.
I'm just giving examples, Stephen. I don't have the name. Okay. Well, perhaps
because that's if you want to talk about jobs, that's a negative job.
Okay. All right. Well, they have capitalism in those countries. Some people are clearly entirely opposed. Let's not get off track, please. We've got a crisis at the hospital. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Dwight and Stephen.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Let me take a stab at this. From I was born, we had problems in the PMH with roach on the food, my mother tells me. And I'm 53. So I think the best thing we could do now is probably bring in some foreign experts and definitely some foreign consultants. And they probably will be put up in some nice homes and some St. Andrew school fees, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll spend some of our tax money, VAT money, to these consultants to tell us that we need a PPP. The good thing about a PPP is the private part wants to get a return on investment. So you're going to pay for this medical a little bit more. But, you know, in all seriousness, why don't, and we're talking about these trillions in carbon credits, why don't we get some of them and build a brand new shiny hospital in the center of the island? But before you build it, have a maintenance plan in place for every aspect, the paint, the air conditioned filter, et cetera, et cetera. And put it in the center of the island so that it can service east and west properly. And do a bunch of micro hospitals in the east and west and north and south.
And satellite.
People. But, you know, there's no plan, as always. And I think you may be better off going to the human society instead of the hospital, because it is sad, and our good doctors and nurses are being displaced. They will be paid top dollar in Canada, but can't make it in their own country. But that's out of the hymn book of the Bahamas, so it's the usual thing, you know, nothing new. and we prefer to bring in the people from away. And I want to thank all our good nurses and doctors, because if I ever end up in the hospital, I want a Bahamian looking after me because they care about me. The foreign person may not care as much as the Bahamian, you understand? Because they're one of us. And so, guys, unless we're going to come with a solution, and I want to hear solutions from you guys and the callers on what do we do immediately and long-term with this problem. And I don't want to rent someone's mall, okay, and turn it into a makeshift hospital. I want to have a brand new state-of-the-art hospital. This country is the third richest country in the hemisphere, according to the IMF and World Bank. Christmas gone. So there's no way you can tell me that the third richest country from the North to the South Pole can't have a proper medical facility. And no Bahamian should have to pay for any treatment in this country with the wealth of this country. Thank you for taking my call. And I'm quite sure nothing's going to happen, except someone's going to make a gang of money, and we're going to pay more for these services. Good show, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, here's the thing. Where we're at, no matter what, we're going to pay more. All right? Now, if you want to, before we make or pull the trigger, have somebody come and do, a SWOT analysis or like an accounting person go through it and say, okay, in the long run, this will be the cheaper way to go about it, whether it's public-private partnership or taxes in a certain type of system. But we're going to pay more for it because we need more. We're not at a position where, first, the problem with it is hospitals are to save lives. Their first duty should not be to make a profit. And as a result, if they're not there to make a profit, they can't just sustain themselves by, we need to charge this person $80 for aspirin. Like that's not a sustainable model for a public hospital. Because then people will just die because they can't afford it. So we will have to pay more because we're not at a standstill as a country. We need more, so we have to pay more. Now the question is how we're going to pay more and how much more are we going to pay?
Right.
That's just the stark reality of it. Now we could pay more directly as individuals. We could all, every time you go inside PMH, it's a $30 entrance fee. Before the doctor see you, we could do that. We could pay more in taxes. We could have a public-private partnership and have incremental increases on different stuff. I'm sure there's a fourth option that I'm unaware of because I'm not an economist, but we are going to have to pay more.
Let's take these calls quickly.
Oh, and also with the thing with the carbon credits, we had to start selling them first before we could start using the money.
And apparently we have to get a proper evaluation of them as well.
Oh,
So
right.
we've got a long way
it's
to
steps,
go.
It's steps.
Yeah. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Charlie Davis, Strachan, White, along with you and Stephen.
Morning, how you doing?
Hi.
We need justice, law, and order in this country.
All day,
That's
every
what I'm
day.
going to say, right? We need to get rid of that consolidated fund establishment, okay? We need to survey our money going from all the entities in the Bahamas. Next thing, right? The thing is, we always had that problem with the hospital, right? Those guys go to various conventions. They've been traveling all over the place, and they're not implementing the problem to those meetings, right? But they would come and throw on us the problem just out of the blue. That's not decent running. That's not being decent pertaining to running a country or the hospital. You go to those meetings to have situations be fixed for those people to know what's happening in your country with entities. They got to stop playing.
Okay.
At least playing with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Dwight and Stephen.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, I think this is the third minister doctor responsible for the hospital, right? I think it was
Might be
Ronnie
more than
Rose,
that.
and then it was,
You mean third to say that we're bursting from the seams, or what do you mean?
He's in
No, I'm just saying, right? Because
a
hey,
doctor being a
if
Oh.
we can have doctors, right, running
Doctors who are ministers of health.
hospital, right? And the way they used to they supposed to know how, right? From the time Ronnie Knowles was running, Dr. Ronnie Knowles was the Minister of Health, right? Our health, the medical facility, what we call the hospital, it never elevated, right? And then we're on the third now, doctor.
No,
right?
it's more than that. We don't know how many. It's
yeah. Well, I mean, as far as what I'm can remember, right? I'm talking
it's plenty.
Who was the last?
Menace,
who was the one last?
Sands, Menace, Gomez. It's too many to count. But anyway, we've had many doctors. Yes.
Right. 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 But see, I'm glad you even interject all the rest of them because the only point I'm trying to raise, right, is having a doctor as the Minister of Health really ain't helping us. Because there's nowhere it showed that it was helping us or it did help us.
Yeah, but see, that you're putting a whole litany of issues on one point. And like, even if the point is that sometimes we have a bad Minister of Health, the system shouldn't break down because there's one issue in the pipeline. But the problem is we have multiple issues in the pipeline that are all going wrong at the same time. And so it looks like, we can see the minister, so we say, it's the minister's fault. But if we remove the minister, the system is still breaking down because we're not fixing the system or changing the system, and we know the system hasn't been working for decades. So it's like, this is not in defense of any of the ministers, but even at their worst, they are only one part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because
it's a lot deeper than that. And again,
because the minister is not paying the nurses and doctors out of their pocket. They're not the ones going out of pocket to build the hospital. So it's not on the minister specifically with all of these issues.
Right.
Some of these issues are not political or good or evil issues. These are neutral. This is just how time works. As time progresses, the hospital that you built in the 70s will no longer be adequate for your needs 50 years later.
Yeah. And there are plenty of things happening in the country.
Right.
Cabinet, they've got a lot of things they're dealing with. The minister asked for something, but we can't do that.
I wasn't even talking about that. I just meant plenty things in general.
I'm saying there's a whole lot going on, so it's unfair to put it on the one minister in that way. That's not how governments work.
No, and the reason why we're saying it's unfair is because no matter who you put there, the problem will never change if we're... So essentially what you're doing, that's scapegoating, right? If we say, once we get rid of this person, everything is going to be okay. No, that person could have been a problem, but that person was not the problem. There are many problems that lead to it. Even something simple as the passport office, right? The passport office, the fact that the printing machine is inside Grand Bahama is not the reason why you're not going to get your passport on time. When it was in Nassau, you couldn't get your passport on time.
And they've always told people, don't come in the summer where you want to travel.
You could have applied for your passport in January of 2018, and you would have gotten it sometime centuries later.
Don't do that. That's not fair. But they tell you around January, February that they're sitting around doing their nails because there is no one there.
And in August, they're still doing their nails. The whole point is, thank God we only need a passport every 10 years, and we don't have to see those people more than that. But the whole point is there are many problems inside the passport office.
All right, let's stick to
many problems.
To the topic.
You cannot blame it on the poor printer because the printer didn't do nothing. The printer's doing its best.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take these really quickly, and then we'll get to your text messages, and we got to move on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay, let's take that other one. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Dwight. Morning, Stephen.
Hi.
Just like to comment on the previous caller. The previous caller, I think, had a point that may have thrown over many persons' heads, and that is, we all can agree, and if I can use Canada, for instance, for a point of reference, Trudeau was very successful in appointing or having persons put in the positions of their specialty. And today, there's a doctor practicing doctor who is in charge of the medical field. There's an astronaut who's in charge of their flight services,
Army person
aviation, so on and so forth. So that thing can work if we get the right people to do the job. I think basically, from my perspective, is that if we can find the right mix with, let's say, the MP who is representing Parliament, he's the information for it from the people that works under him. I believe that if we can get more persons in the government really to have a town hall meeting, for instance, or a meeting like that with the nurses and doctors who know all of the concerns of the hospital, who know all the issues, and really sit down and really map out a strategy on how to knock these things out one by one, then perhaps we may progress. But it seems as if every time we talk about an issue like this, we bring about the solutions, as Graham would say. There are many solutions the Bahamian people offer, but the question is, are they really being considered by the people who we have elected to try to bring about the results? I'll close on this one point very quickly, Dwight.
Oh, wait,
And
before
then
you go
said
on.
something that is very, very interesting as well. The Consolidated Fund. We don't know actually what agency contributes what amount of money is in the Consolidated Fund that makes up the Consolidated Fund. Perhaps we need a separation with that as well. We need to look at a way to bring about a system where we can see actually what each of these agencies bring in on an annual basis, and then how do we use those funds to deal with the issues that we have as it pertains to those agencies. That's my two contributions for this morning. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, so
thanks a lot.
For the first part, what I wanted to say to Jeff was that what it sounds like what he's describing is that we need a different system, because you only could work with what you have. The way our system is set up, your cabinet has to be made up of the people in Parliament, and you get 3 extra, right? So you could put 3 people in the Senate so they could be inside cabinet, but you only get 3, right? And so we would need to change our system where, we could just get the best person for this job, and they don't have to be an elected official, but that would require us to change our system. The second bit with the consolidated,
And that would be great.
No, I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm saying what the reality is. Just so people understand, because it's the same way where some Bahamians think that we vote for a prime minister, and we don't. Right? It's like we don't vote for a prime minister. We vote for our MP, and our MP votes for the prime minister. The second bit with the consolidated fund, I think it's very complicated, but it's not complicated at all. The problem is that you have to decide what the money is being spent on. And then if you were to separate everything and say, okay, if tourism brings in this amount of money, then tourism gets this amount of money, everybody else be damned, we'd have no money for education, because education isn't bringing in any money. We definitely wouldn't have any money from healthcare, because healthcare ain't bringing in no money. I'm saying like not enough to support itself. So it's like, that's why the consolidated fund exists. But once again, if we change the system, maybe there is a better version that we could work on.
Plenty.
But we have to
Plenty
change
better.
the system and stop looking at changing individuals. That's the real issue.
Let's take this final call, then we'll get to your messages, and we have to take a break. Good morning, caller on the air. Hi, good morning. Are you there?
Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
First of all, I think the Bahamian people need to learn and understand what the consolidated fund is all about and what all it takes care of. Other than the private institutions, everybody else that's working around here is employed by the government of the Bahamas. They are the biggest employers of this country. That includes the police, the doctors, the nurses, the defense force, all the government workers and everything. That's why the money goes to the consolidated fund, because all these people got to be paid on time every month. You understand? Other than national insurance, which pay the pension people and stuff, which is private or semi-government, whatever else have you. And with Bremen, every one of it, we need justice, law, and order. We in the country, we know we need that every day. We don't need to be reminded. We need to do something about it. Not just know we need to just stop talking. We need to also realize that we're only 49 years old. And we've been growing, we've been falling back, we've been getting up and walking again, because a lot of us don't know what we're doing. We're putting people in places where they shouldn't be. See, a doctor knows how to do, a gynecologist knows how to be a gynecologist. But that don't necessarily means that he knows how to run a hospital.
Also true, yes.
You understand? We got establishments in the United States where they have these big mega hospitals. They have a whole board of governors and directors and everything running the hospitals. The gynecologist, because he's a gynecologist and everybody loves him, they don't put him in charge of the hospital.
Yeah, but the thing is, those people have a different system, and they have access to
There we come back to we talk about systems again. We even talk about
But also,
medical
Sparky, just
system.
because he's a gynecologist doesn't mean that he could not
No,
possibly
he might be the right person for the job, but he
that-
also might not be.
Yes,
But he might also be.
that's how it is with everything in life.
No, but he also is the only option that you might have
Well,
on the table because
yes.
of our system. Our system doesn't allow us. It's not like, yeah, he could be okay for the job, but there might be somebody better. There might not be anybody better.
Yeah,
But
well,
we can't
if
even look
Bahamians
around.
want to continue to have this conversation, I mean, because clearly it is. When you remember what happened just a few months ago, right? When the engineer was put in, everyone like, why would you put an engineer? So this is the stupid system we have here. If you want to just
you meant as
continue
the
to
Minister of
complain,
Health?
yes, Minister of Health.
Well, no,
you want to continue
we
to
meant
complain.
that engineer. That was a personal issue that people had with him personally. Because
Oh, boy.
that is a sinking ship individual.
Oh,
so
dear.
like
you
that's
don't have to be mean, Steve.
that was me being nice.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's read the messages. Then we got to go to the break. Somebody says here, why are we guessing? The hospital knows exactly the number of people in the hospital who postponed procedures due to COVID, and they know exactly the number of patients in hospital with COVID. A COVID diagnosis trumps any other category.
Well, it used to. I don't know if it does now.
This person says here, will government money owed, promised, and salary increases be paid to civil servants today on their bank accounts?
You get somebody getting paid today?
Okay. Good luck, I hope. It's been common knowledge for years that PMH is bursting at the seams. It has outgrown its interior space and its surrounding exterior. The time to get from south to downtown is not practical. It's time that we now look at a more centralized location for a major new hospital.
Yeah.
Or, as has been proposed, that we have several trauma centers in the population centers, right?
Or both.
Or both.
Right.
I mean, we do need a modern hospital.
Right.
Or
we need and satellite clinics. We do need those and proper clinics, not the ones that we have presently.
and
right?
areas that are focused. Like, okay, so this is a cancer center. This is a children's hospital.
By all means.
But we need a trauma center out east, a trauma center in the south, maybe two.
And here's the thing. The way that happens is we need money.
Yeah.
And so where's the money? What would I say at the beginning? How are we going to pay for this? That's literally the only question.
Yeah, yeah.
We can have anything once we have the money for it.
This one here, yeah, we read that. Okay.
Because today everybody is remembering hospitals, but I promise you on Monday, everybody can be saying, well, what about the roads? And
Yeah.
then on Tuesday, everybody can say, well, what about water?
Yeah.
And what about the price of gas?
This person says here, our healthcare team members are being offered starting salaries at $250,000 in places like Texas. What do you think someone's going to do to stay here for peanuts? And this one here from Turks and Caicos. We have a PPP in Turks and Caicos with the hospital and national health insurance, and it works extremely well. Okay.
It is not that it can't work.
Yeah.
I think we just have to do something.
All right. We got to go to the break. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. Just a reminder, portions of Shirley Street are closed or single-lane traffic only, so keep that in mind. And definitely the area between Shirley and Harmony Hill Road is closed on Village Road, and that's impacting traffic on Eastern Road and East Bay Street as their detours as well. In fact, right now in your real-time traffic, that area is quite backed up. So keep that in mind. If you don't need to go that way, perhaps Bernard Road or even Prince Charles Drive would be a better alternate route for you. Along Prince Charles, just at the major intersections, you'll see a few people waiting ahead of you. Where the real congestion is Independence Drive. The road is flooded, and so traffic is backed up almost between the roundabouts entirely. So that's westbound to Blue Hill Road, backed up nearly to East Street. So keep that in mind there. Blue Hill Road also busy for you heading northbound to that roundabout with Independence Highway. And Mile Butler Highway, not looking so bad, just about midway between Fire Trail and Tawny Williams Darling Highway. You'll be seeing that traffic there for you northbound. Pockets along Carmichael, Gladstone Road, just about a third of the way from JFK Drive. You'll see that traffic in front of you in the northbound lanes. And that's what we're seeing right now in your real-time traffic in your Morning Glen Traffic Alert. That's your latest for you. We'll have another update for you after the 8 o'clock news. It's brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and pin security with your RBC Visa Classic credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages.
Are you an attorney with a joint practice operating from one location? Accepting payments from clients doesn't have to be complicated.
Introducing RBC MultiPay. Now each attorney can securely accept and settle payments with one point-of-sale device supporting multiple bank accounts.
With competitive pricing, training, and easy setup, you will be up and running in no time.
Call 356-8500 to sign up for
RBC
MultiPay.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off labs, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now.
That's the sound of a bite-sized payment I made on my new laptop.
Can I make a bite-sized payment on this amazing vacation?
Yes, with Scotia Select Pay. Now my big-ticket credit card purchases are more manageable with flexible bite-sized payments over 3, 6, 9, or 12 months at a lower interest rate. Scotia Select Pay allows me to better plan my expenses over time. The best part? No credit checks or financing application. Visit bs.scotiabank.com. Conditions apply.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Oh, yeah!
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:19, time for another check of your weather for today. Brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got a mid to upper level low that is supporting pockets of unsettled weather across portions of the northwest and central Bahamas today, while a high-pressure system anchored north of the area will generate moderate to fresh easterly breezes across the islands today. We've got lots of warnings. We've got mariners and residents being advised to be alert for possible waterspout and or tornado activity. Beachgoers being advised to exercise caution due to the moderate to high risk of rip currents. And localized flooding is possible. It's been happening in low-lying and flood-prone areas during heavy and prolonged rainfall events. Everyone's being advised to remain hydrated as well and limit outdoor activities due to high heat indices. For all areas today, your forecast calls for variably cloudy to overcast, hot, and breezy conditions with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly across the northwest and central Bahamas. Through tonight, some showers may be locally heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Small craft caution remains in effect for the central and southeastern islands. Small craft should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. It's going to be a hot day today. Highs getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make it feel like it's 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. In your extended outlook, the combination of troughing associated with a meandering mid to upper level low and the northern extent of a tropical wave will support unsettled weather across the islands into early next week. So for tomorrow, Saturday, mostly cloudy to overcast, hot and windy with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms mainly across the northwest and central Bahamas. Small craft advisory will be in effect. Sunday, variably cloudy, hot and breezy to windy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms mainly across the northwest and central Bahamas. Small craft caution will be in effect in the northwestern islands, and an advisory will be in effect for the central and southeastern islands. In the tropics remain quiet. Tropical cyclone formation not expected during this time. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance, still the first and only local insurance company and agency network that lets you buy car and home insurance 100% online. Try it at bahamasfirst.com. .22 the time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. Just a reminder about the work going on at Shirley Street. There's single-lane traffic in portions, and of course, there's still the closure on Village Road from Shirley to Harmony Hill Road, and so you want to definitely avoid Village Road entirely. And you might want to avoid Shirley Street, especially in your real-time traffic, as we're seeing heavy traffic from Shirley all the way up to very near to Fox Hill Road at this hour. That's the westbound traffic there. We've got the diversion as that portion of Village Road is closed, heading to Eastern Road, so people will have to divert onto Shirley Street from East Bay Street and Eastern Road, and it's just a mess there. You definitely want to avoid that area. If you can get to Bernard Road or use Prince Charles Drive, that might be a better alternate route for you. But Prince Charles is busy near Elizabeth Estates and near Beatrice Avenue, the intersection there, and Soldier Road as well, heading into Robinson Road. Elsewhere, heavy traffic on Independence Drive that is flooded, and so it's causing major delays there westbound. Keep that in mind. If you're making your way to Blue Hill Road, you might want to try Robinson Road or even Soldier Road to get to Blue Hill this morning. Blue Hill is busy, though, from between Soldier and Independence Drive, the roundabout there, and near Carmichael. Carmichael's seeing some heavy traffic eastbound to Blue Hill Road. Mile Butler Highway, heavy traffic now from Fire Trail up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. Gladstone Road looks like a better alternate route for you, but still quite a bit of traffic heading northbound at this hour. And we're seeing heavy rain in some parts of the island, so keep that in mind. And many of the streets are flooded, so do proceed with caution and care. That's your morning blend weather check. And Traffic Check. Traffic brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and pin security with your RBC Visa Classic credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic.
You know, you should teach a savings class, because you know everything.
No, I just choose wisely. Like, I just got 2 months free home internet from BTC. All I did was sign up for internet.
2 months internet free? For real?
I bundled my internet and mobile services, and now I'm paying half of what the other guys charge. Plus, as a new customer, I get 2 months internet free.
What? Nah, that's a big deal.
Switch to BTC Internet and get the second and third months free for new customers. Conditions apply.
You're always on the go. We know life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier. Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
When faced with an illness like cancer, we band together, and we at Cleveland Clinic in Florida have your back. From advanced cancer treatments to extra safety measures at all of our locations, we're with you on this journey. For every infusion and follow-up, for every step of the way, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic in Florida. Get the care you need when and where you need it. To learn more or connect with a local representative, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment, plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Don't stop. Bring it here. Nah, come on. Got a letter from Miami. In the letter was a dollar. I took the dollar and bought me some candy. I gave the candy to my baby. Keep on loving me, never stop. And my love drop it, get up. Shake the dilly tree, dilly drop. And my dilly drop it, get up. Keep on loving me, never stop. And my love drop it, get up. Shake that dilly tree, dilly drop. And my dilly drop it, get up. Got a letter from Miami. In the letter was a dollar. I took the dollar and bought me some powder. I put the powder on my baby. Keep on loving me, never stop. And my love drop it, get up. Shake that dilly tree, dilly drop. And my dilly drop it, get up. Keep on loving me, never stop. And my love.
And we're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strong with Stephen Hanna. All right, so as we said earlier, today we are talking about some, I'm calling Bahamianism. Stephen has a problem with that. But again, it's not just sayings, it's things that we do. Things that we do that are uniquely Bahamian, that irk some people, but others, I'm sure, will say that makes us
Will
unique
they
amongst
not count
the world.
if they are not unique and it's just the human experience?
Well, you can present the ideas, but joining us to talk about some of hers as well, and we've got people messaging us already with theirs. We've got Royanne Dean, a good friend to Morning Blend, former co-host, who's with us. Good morning, Royanne.
Hey, good morning, guys.
All right, so we this is going to be an interesting conversation, and people, some toes are going to get stepped on, but also we're doing this out of love, I think, right, to help people to be better, right?
Or be best, as Melania would say.
Who? Wow. Okay, all right. So who wants? Royanne, you want to begin? You want to start us off with some of the ones that really grind your gears, as they say.
Sure. Well, I have one that's just been sitting there for a while now, and it's would have, as in, future conditional tense.
It's an epidemic
except
in the country.
Yeah.
All right, so
But
use
people
it in a
use it-
sentence the way that Bahamians are many Bahamians are using it now incorrectly.
Okay, so I'll use it in how I learned the future conditional tense should be used.
How it should be,
So-
and then how people do it.
Okay, so if you, so you could say that I would have paid for this if I had my wallet, right?
Yeah.
That's an if. It's conditional.
Right. Had the plane arrived on time, I would have gone
Right.
to
I would have
that
been
place.
at the air. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But people use it as something that happened in the past, like as a factual statement. Like I would have paid for that. As in I paid for that.
Right. Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, but I don't, you were going to pay for it, but what happened? Like what, right?
Why didn't
Yeah.
you? Right.
Why didn't you pay for it?
Right. No, I said I
Like
did.
what condition was not there?
Right. I've been
That you're paying
advised
for it.
that that in some embassies here that they have to send out a briefing to those who are just arriving into the country, that when you hear a Bahamian say they would have done something, that meant that they did it. And they're like,
Right.
what? Because they're confused. Like, so why didn't you? Like, they'll hear a minister say, well, we would have talked to the IDB about something. And they're like, so what stopped you from doing it? And they're like looking at you
Right.
perplexed. What do you mean? We did back in
Although-
October. What? I'm confused. And so it's causing
I
lots
have
of
to say,
issues.
it sounds most effective with a British accent.
Okay, so what if is a big one? What if is a big one? Stephen, do you have any? No?
No, because I don't have a
I
problem
don't
with
believe
the way
it.
that Bahamians speak.
Okay.
Language is an ever-evolving thing.
Oh, dear, Stephen. He's one of those.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes, a
All right.
linguist,
No.
and not a pedantic loser. Oh
So
my goodness!
Stephen, you're okay. You're okay with
I'm okay with
reverse back. Oh,
Yes,
do your endeavor best. You're good with that.
I say that all the time. Matter of fact, every time somebody says, "You have a good day," I say, "I will do my endeavor best." All right, and then they laugh, and we all have a nice chuckle, and we go about our day.
That's a little bit different, though.
Everything's
You're
different.
being sarcastic.
Now, listen, I have no problem with a person knowing the correct context to use certain words, and I think what you guys are talking about is syntax. I have no issue with that. Code switching is important, but just generally speaking, I don't have it like.
But that's
in
not
daily
code
language.
switching. That is not code switching.
No, I'm saying the ability to code switch is important. Like the ability to
Right.
to go between standard English and Bahamian Creole English.
All right, but
is important.
Stephen, many of us are communicating with people from other places, and will be confused when they run into someone who says something like that. That could be problematic.
I guess. But then that's also a part of the experience of going to a new place, learning how they speak. Listen, hey, you guys have the issue with it, so I'm listening intently to hear the different versions. When you describe the would have, that sounds like hypercorrection, because I hear police officers say that and stuff when they're doing like the formal report, right?
Does
They say-
that make
It's
it right?
exactly what it is.
No,
People
but
are being
but
very formal.
hypercorrection is a feature of most Creoles where you know that the standard version of this language sounds a certain way. However, that's not your native tongue. And so you try to do it. and you overcorrect sometimes. And so you add an S where there isn't an S, you add an ER where there isn't an ER, stuff like that. So like that's what it sounds like to me. Which
no,
once again,
but you're using like a whole word though.
Yeah, no,
in the incorrect
those are-
way. I understand what you mean when people say soda.
yeah,
right?
no, but I mean that's just an example using the
Yeah.
pronunciation. You could do it with the syntax, you could do it with anything. Like you could do it with the syntax, you could do it with the actual word. You know, so like it sounds like hypercorrection to me, which is a thing, and it is embarrassing when somebody does it in the wrong situation. You know, but at this point,
But I feel like this is new though because I can't recall hearing that growing up. I mean, I feel like this is relatively new.
It might be.
It definitely feels so in the last 10 years. And to
Yeah,
the point
I would
where
say.
you will hear this more than someone saying, I did that.
15 years ago, nobody was saying, I will Google that. Language
Now, you
changes.
know that is not this.
The only difference is that one is not behavior.
Oh, my. What?
Right? Like I'm
That's
saying language changes. I'm not, once again, if inside a formal document you require a certain type of language, then sure. If inside a formal setting you require a certain type of language, by all means. I have no issue with any of that.
Yeah.
I just don't interact often in those areas. And so I don't have a list to present.
Okay. All right. So, Roy, we've got some others coming in.
He's a man of the people.
There you go. There you go.
Right, yeah.
So I suspect he'll be fine with the you enter the room and you say good night. You are fine with that.
Is it night?
Oh boy. Okay.
I'm not allowed to say good night.
You know, it is traditionally what you say when you are leaving.
Well, see, once
When
again,
you enter,
but no,
if
you're
it
being-
is
you're being
after 6
pedantic.
p.m.,
You're being
you say good
pedantic
evening.
because here's the
You
thing.
say good evening. If you
You're-
say good night, people will say,
There-
are you leaving already? You
No,
just got here.
Some persons will say that.
Well, not here in the country.
Right, but right, and we're talking about him is talking amongst each other. So it's like, once again, if it is something different that happens in other cultures and communities, then there's a reason for it. One of the reasons is if you walk into a room and you don't say good morning, people consider you rude. If you walk into a room and it is 12:01 and you say good morning, people are like, oh, you're trying to be jokey or you're not taking it seriously. And people will get upset if you say good morning when it's
Not
afternoon.
12:01.
I'm telling you.
Well,
I'm not asking you.
1:30 if you say good
I'm not
morning,
asking
people
you.
think
I am
funny.
telling you, Dwight. All right? There are some people who are so pedantic that if you say good afternoon and it is 6 p.m. and the sun is still blazing outside, they're like, well, don't you know, evening begins at blah, 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 blah. And so going along with that flow, as an ordinary person, you're like, well, it's dark outside. I should say good night. It has nothing to do, the same way where, what is it, aloha is hello and goodbye. It doesn't matter. It is a greeting to show that I respect you and I acknowledge your presence here. This is the first time we are meeting in this setting. So it is no different than saying hello in my mind. Now,
Have y'all? No, I can tell you, I did it as an experiment. When I went into like places like, for example, a doctor's office, right, where people are sitting there and waiting, I said hello, and nobody responded. Now, for me, I would just
that's rude.
walk in and like not say anything because I just want to get my appointment sorted out. But I said hello, nobody responded. But I realized that if you say hello
is rude.
and when you walk into nobody says anything. But if you say any variation of good morning, good afternoon, good day.
Interesting.
No, because
people
hello is
reply.
rude. You cannot say hello to people you don't know. It's weird because when you say it, the implication is when you say hello that the person is doing something wrong. People don't say hello to people they don't know. You say hello, 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 hello.
Oh dear.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's like the implication. Even if you say it calmly, if you say hello, hello, it sounds like I'm doing something wrong and you are trying to get my attention. That's not how
When I
behavior
walk
says
into
hello.
a room, when I walk into a room and I say hello,
How you can
that's
say hello
rude.
to people you don't know? Boy, y'all ain't got no
How,
blood.
why would I
upstairs.
say good afternoon to
Which
people I don't know?
part of the multiverse are we in right now? Because something. What are
I
you
don't know.
saying? Really?
Do you say hello to people you don't know?
I don't recall. I mean, I can't think right now. I mean, I'm sure I do.
To
Like,
people
hey,
you don't know
hello.
for the
Yeah.
first time without like making eye contact to them? It's kind of aggressive.
What?
To be like, you can't just say hello to somebody who's not paying attention to you without. That's aggressive. You try to start a fight.
Dwight, I believe that
Oh,
this
dear.
is him using Endeavor Best. You know.
Oh, we're getting messages saying, yeah, hello is aggressive for people you aren't familiar with.
You can't say hello. You guys are wrong. I'm telling you. That's a
Wow.
cultural thing, but you cannot do it.
Well, the producer's nodding too. Seriously?
You can't do it. And that's why when she said hello, that's rude. How could you walk into a room with people?
I'm intentionally being aggressive this whole weekend.
How you can walk into a room with people you don't know and say hello?
I'm doing it to everyone.
Okay. When do I
Black
show up
eye on
Monday?
Monday morning. Right. All right.
So when you answer the phone, Stephen, what do you say?
Good night, apparently.
Well, first of all, we live in the 21st century. Nobody answers the phone. Stop calling people unannounced.
Wow.
Everybody has WhatsApp. Almost nobody has a landline. If I have a
But
line,
that's what I'm saying. If your phone rings, right? Probably the person who knows you is not calling you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably going to be somebody you don't know. So what do you say if your phone rings?
well, I mean, one is different with a phone because you're not in the person's presence. But I sometimes will also say good day or good morning. How can I help?
Okay. People are actually texting in. Yes, hello is creepy from someone you don't know. From a man. Okay.
It's a contact. It's
Let's
a cultural
just ban
thing.
it then. Ban.
No, it's not
hello.
about banning it. Hello works in certain contexts, but it's just that you can't say hello to a random person.
Okay. All right.
How about I just don't say anything, which is what I want to do.
Right, and then somebody's going to say to
Got a
you,
bad
hello.
attitude. Right.
Why are you so rude?
They'll say, did I wake up with you this morning?
Right.
We wake up in the same bed. That's what people have to say. So, all right. So we're getting more. This is a big one. Persons, the overuse of persons. 10 persons. And,
That's hypercorrection.
Yeah.
It's like monies and people's and like not knowing when to put the S in it. So you could say money.
Persons is definitely, but also the British accent is, it's like the chef's kiss on that one.
But that's because people
You
are
want
trying
to
to figure out
demonstrate?
how to say it.
Demonstrate, Royan? You want to do it?
What a chef's
people
kiss
say
is?
with the
It's
with
because it
the
said
British
like
accent.
persons, like but with a
10
PURSON.
persons. Persons.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this call. We are talking about the uniquely Bahamian expressions, the things that we do. Good morning, caller. What say you?
Hey, Dwight.
Hi.
I got two need to be reconciled. First, Stephen said, how can I help you?
Uh-huh.
They might say, I don't know your ability. Or can I help you?
I'd hang up on them.
I don't know your ability.
Don't call.
You see my point?
Don't call my phone.
Say it again?
I'd hang up on them. Don't call my phone.
My other point is, right? Like today is Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The other day before Friday was Thursday. Somebody would say, yes, today. But it should have been, yes, Sunday, past tense.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's comedy hour.
Apparently,
That's a good one.
It's comedy
Right.
hour.
Are we
That's brilliant.
did
I
we
love
get into another multiverse? I think we're in another multiverse.
I don't even know what to say.
That's so good. That's so good.
But I do have
Yes, you have more.
One of my friends just messaged me to say et cetera is another.
Is that a
Is another
Bahamian thing, though? I don't know if that's Bahamian, is it? I mean, people just do that.
I feel like it's one of those things that people throw in again, likely with a British accent. Sound like
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
All right, so we got a few more. Reverse back. Again, I don't know if that's Bahamian.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are doing that all over.
Reverse
native
back
speakers.
is a big one.
Yeah.
Although I'm just gonna put this in banister.
I don't know what that is.
Say what now?
A banister.
Oh,
That's a person.
You said cabanister?
Yes.
No, that was a one-time thing, right? That is not a thing that people say, is that?
Yeah, but I feel, to Steven's point, I feel like you should just own that one. I'm not mad at that one.
We
No, but that's
we can make that a thing.
That's an idiomatic
Yeah.
expression. That's idiolac. So when it's only one person saying it, it doesn't count. You
Right.
need
But I'm saying we should. I'm
adopt
saying we
it.
should own that.
Yeah.
You could say it.
Yeah,
We should adopt
and
it.
if organically it seeps its way into the language, then I guess. You know.
Yeah, like sausage and pearl.
Oh, that's a big
And
one on
Fulham.
some people's
Well,
list.
those
People,
are pronunciations. So it's like
it's uniquely Bahamian. Sausages. What was the other
Sausage, yeah.
one? And what was the last one you said?
furrow.
Furrow.
Oh, and then
But that's how
Cripsy.
don't people in Boston pronounce it like that? That's a old English accent actually.
What?
When you say Earl instead of oil, so all of the foil, furl, and all this stuff, that's actually British.
Is it?
Yeah, it's with the
Well,
British language
depends
changed,
on-
and the people who pronounced it that way were, stuck on small colonial islands, and their language crystallized. So, but I'm just saying, yes, that is also one.
Yes. Sausages, Earl, yes, all those.
Fulham.
Yeah. Fulham. Okay, that's an interesting one there. Although I don't think that's uniquely Bahamian as well. I think I've heard olden day Americans say that one as well.
You'd be surprised how language works,
Yeah.
guys. Like,
All right. This one says here, yes, people saying yesterday night instead of last night. I don't know if I've heard that too often, but okay.
I haven't heard that
Yeah.
often.
but I can understand why somebody would say it though.
A couple people are saying this one. Church folks like to say "mand of God." That's hypercorrecting
What?
again, right? Being polit. All right. Lots of that out there. Putting extra letters on.
Well, yeah. Well, that one is.
What is man? What does that mean?
No, because then so there's some features where you drop, like you'll have a th, but then you'll drop it and you put a d there instead of a th, right? So instead of mother, right? And then of course you also r, we don't necessarily pronounce the r anyway, but that's a different feature. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if saying "man of God" is transposing a d instead of, or if that is a hypercorrection to like make the man something special. I think it's transposing. So like the same way where we take out certain letters because they're easier to pronounce or whatever. That it might be that.
All right. Let's take another call. Though we've got a lot of great text
Blame
messages
Dr.
coming
Law.
in.
Blame COB.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean for this conversation going this direction.
Oh, for you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's like-
Oh, is that who we need to blame for you?
And Lala.
Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Dwight, you know the things that Bahamians do.
Mm-hmm.
We say Wednesday instead of Wednesday. We say vacation instead of vacation. We say going instead of going. And we say Arawaki instead of the Western Esplanade. Have a good day.
Oh, okay. Well, that last one is a little bit different. Okay.
Oh, you know what we forgot that somebody just reminded me of? Salami instead of tsunami, which was like a one-time thing, but also, y'all remember that when that guy said it seemed like
we got hit by
salami?
the salami. Yes, we'll never
Yeah.
forget. Never forget.
Never
Some
forget.
people are saying, streets instead of streets.
Oh
But
yeah.
I feel like some of these things are purposely being done ironically.
Yeah, I think some of them are.
Like no, I don't think the people who say the streets, I don't feel like they're doing that seriously. They're doing that.
I think the first set of people
for-
who started, but there are some kids now who say it.
Yeah, but they don't. It's not that they don't know that the word is streets.
You sure?
I'm certain. I think that they know the word is streets, but for emphasis, you pronounce it a certain way. Like this is the same. This is how rough it is.
I think that depends. Because I think that comes from.
My bad, I forget.
I feel like I've heard street in like kind of like a hip hop thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I think it is.
But I'm
to
saying,
me,
I think that's still ironically.
Some people. Not all.
Yeah,
Because it's the same way with
some
the
people.
tsunami and the salami.
Yeah,
Every time
in that
somebody
way.
says it, that's
They say it for
ironic.
laughs,
right?
yes.
Like
But-
they're saying it to make a point, like as emphasis. Like I don't think that you're ever going to get a meteorologist to say we have a salami warning in effect.
Yeah, but
Seriously.
I think that depends though, right? Because the meteorologist may not say that, but you might have people who. You think that guy said salami ironically? I don't think so.
No, he couldn't remember the word.
He definitely. Okay.
Because he
Couldn't
rarely
remember
uses
it.
Yeah, well, he thinks it's how it's pronounced. But I guarantee there are people who are pronouncing it screens. They are.
Sure.
You think people saying suches ironically?
No, but that one
Okay.
is, I mean, apparently I pronounced library and February incorrectly as well. So.
And Dwight.
No, that is the correct one.
What?
That's
Dwight?
correct. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm pronouncing it as what it means. Of white.
Oh boy.
The D is an apostrophe.
Stephen Hannah.
Yeah, did you throw an apostrophe in your name, Dwight?
I don't see it.
The fact that he writes it incorrectly doesn't mean that I should pronounce it incorrectly. I'm not going to stoop to his level.
This person says that Stephen is guilty of one, saying
many.
inside when we should simply say in. For example, he said this morning, he said inside the past.
That's a shame.
I also say inside islands. Like inside the island. Some people don't like it when you say that. I'm supposed to say on because they are.
Is this a Bahamianism? I mean, other people say this, or is it just
I think
you?
that's a Stephenism.
That might be a Stephen thing.
What?
To
Inside
say
the
inside the cabinet instead of unless it's
Well,
the room.
aren't they inside of a
Well,
cabinet?
they're just saying you could just say in.
Are they inside the island?
I
now?
can just say a lot of things. I
Or
cannot
maybe
say
they meant
cabinet.
a cabinet.
Well,
In any event,
regardless.
it's in the cabinet.
I mean, once again, that is the rules if I was writing in a newspaper. But as you recall, I don't.
And that one is not just a Bahamian thing, but the irregardless. You didn't say that. I'm just saying
That's
that
not a word,
reminded
though.
me
Oh, yeah.
of irregardless. But it's a big thing here.
No, that's a word now.
It is a word now.
Yes.
We've
One of the dictionaries accepted
dear.
it because enough people do it.
That's
Because
One
that's
of
how
the
words work.
dictionary.
And you think that's a good thing, Stephen?
Well, if you look at how it is, because they're not
A
they
bunch
have
of people are created a word out of
What do you think
ignorance,
awful
and it
means?
becomes a word.
What do you think awful means? Is awful a good or a bad thing?
It's not a good thing.
Now, but originally awful meant you are full of awe. So when you behold something majestic, you would say, "This is awful." But now, awful is like, "Oh, that's horrible." Same thing with weird. Weird doesn't mean like, "Oh, that person's a creepy person." Weird literally means something spiritual and uncanny. Words change, and those are like recent usages. Like in the past 100-something
So
years.
you think in 100 years we'll all be saying irregardless?
I think in 100 years, nobody is going to be on this planet.
If we are, irregardless will be the most common usage of.
I think that would be the least
You know
of our
what,
problems.
Dwight? Here's the big takeaway from this. Whatever happens, like we're still gonna be rude if we say hello. We can use it regardless.
Right. Quite a
Sausages
few,
and salami, but like just don't say hello.
quite a few of you having issues with the am okay. This is a big problem.
Oh,
in
yeah.
texting and
Yeah, for sure.
and on Twitter. And
But
stuff,
see, that's
as
a-
opposed to I apostrophe M.
So that's I used to have issues with how persons would spell particularly Bahamian words in written form during the when Facebook first came about, because something as simple as dread, right, as a noun, when you say, "Oh, that dread over there," or even as a adjective to say that is dread, they would spell it with a J.
What?
J-E-D.
Oh, I've seen that a few
Right, and so I had an issue with that, but then I realized we don't have a codified version of our language, and as a result, you're free to
I think
spell.
someone
Jet?
tried something.
No. What happened is
So wait a minute, wait.
Like a
So they just
Bahamian
wouldn't
dictionary.
have the R in it
There
at
is a
all.
Bahamian dictionary. John Holmes.
So no R.
No, just
R.
J-E-D.
Yeah, Jed. All right, because we
You
don't
know
really
what?
pronounce ours that much anyway. But the Bahamian dictionary is compiled. It's not like that's not to tell you how to spell it, and they'll have different versions of spellings in it.
But let's all agree that dread should be D-R-E-D, right?
No A.
No.
Once again,
so
I'm saying, it's like,
controversy.
there's a million
What
different
do
ways to
you
spell
think,
it.
Royanne? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could go either way. But what I was going to say is, speaking of as Stephen mentioned, seeing people write it. You know, when I was like, wow, what is happening in the world right now? Remember when COVID hit and there were all these press conferences like on Facebook? Look at the comments, like what people were writing in the comments and like how things were being spelled. Like I'm sure I saw Jed
Yeah,
for the JED.
but you know,
Pretty sure about that.
That's our parents.
And then you have to read it to get the context because you're like, this word is unfamiliar. And you're like, oh, that's what they did.
And I blame that on previous educators and our parents, because when persons would not know how to spell something, people would say sound it out, which is a ridiculous thing to tell people in a language where we do not pronounce the words the way that they are written in standard English,
Stephen's trying to make this feel like school, Ryan. This was supposed to be a little more.
Oh,
fun.
you get it. You guys
a little
like
more
to poke fun at
a little more fun.
But also, I disagree with that, Stephen, because
because
if you see a word, like how else would you learn how to pronounce it if you don't sound it out?
No.
Because if you're
People
looking
tell
at
you
the
sound
letters,
it out,
like
not
I don't
reading
understand.
it. People tell you sound it out to spell it, not to read it. It's one thing to sound something out when you're reading it, which is still difficult in English, because English, if you're spelling night with a K and you say sound it out, the K is silent. But the whole point is, like, people will tell you sound out something to spell it, and that's a downfall, because these words do not work that way.
You're very nuanced for someone who thinks saying hello.
How do you
filled with contradictions?
If you were to use phonetics for colonel, as in like a person in the army, is there not an R in that word? Right?
Goodness.
There's an R in that word, right? No, there's not.
Yeah, but at that point in the game, you're not sounding things out to learn how to say it at that point.
All right, let's take some calls. We've got some more calls coming in, and we've got a whole list. People are texting in all their issues. We want to read as many of these as possible. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Somebody tried to spell Kentucky.
What?
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
I'm thinking about my most famous Bahamian word, gimme,
Which one?
instead of gave me.
Now, I mean, people will say that when they're not being serious, right? I mean, would you have anybody formally say that?
Yeah, I've had persons ask, can you give me a job, please?
Oh boy.
Exactly. Because it's so popular, and they're not realizing that, I guess, proper English, it takes place, depends on where you are. If you can do things like that with your friends and family.
Oh, this wasn't someone you knew? This was like...
No, it was not.
Oh, my. Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, the code switching you talked about earlier. Some people don't know when to do it. And I think a lot don't care anymore.
Yeah, but see, that's a different issue to address, where it is important to know. So there's a spectrum, not a spectrum. What do you call those things? The line one that goes from one end to the other.
You could say spectrum.
No, I don't want to say spectrum. I want to say the other word. But anyway, you people. Anyway, so yeah, you have to be able to traverse that line somehow, right? And so on one end, you have people who speak heavy Bahamian English, right? Bahamian Creole English, and on the Baselak side. And then you have some people who, on the other hand, they speak very standard, almost British or American English on that side. And then you have people in the middle. The people in the middle are the ones who do the best inside the country, because then they could go a little left or a little right.
Right.
But the people who are too far left can never go far enough right. And the people who are too far right can never go far enough left. So what you want is a language that all of us can somehow, like, okay, I understand what this person is saying. I get that. And that's all languages. Once you understand what I'm saying, then we've communicated.
The what if thing's going to drive us crazy, though. I'm telling you now.
It's not.
It's going to, and then somebody is going to mean that they didn't do it.
Well,
they
here's the
would
thing.
have done it, and we're going to think they did do it. And somebody's going to die.
Well, that's why you asked for clarification.
But like, put it like this. Remember OJ wrote that book, If I Did It?
Right.
But if his book was, I would have done it.
Yeah, but that would have meant he did do it.
Not in the Bahamas.
Yes, it would.
Well, in the Bahamas, it did. Okay, but in the U.S.,
in the Bahamas, it
would
would
have
have
been something totally different. Right. So there's confusion. Confusion.
Out context.
Well, then you have to do a different cover for the Bahamas.
I mean, I think also with the people who say that stuff, once again, I'm thinking that it's a specific type of person, and that kind of falls under jargon. Like, you have a particular language.
No, but you can't. No,
you have different languages for different
I'm gonna staunchly disagree with you on that, because it's coming from official.
Right.
You just said you heard the police say it in their
Right.
in their
And they're
report,
speaking
and I
in
cannot
police
tell you
jargon.
how many meetings I've been in with like official meetings, and people are saying that, and I'm just like,
but that's how, every
Google
time.
this again, because maybe I don't remember how this word should be used. That's what I'm saying.
Every time I'm around somebody who is in marketing or in some sort of pretend job, right? And they start saying KPIs and ROIs.
Shots fired.
I tell you.
I mean, I'm in marketing, so whatever. All right? Whenever I hear them start saying these random letters, or even when some people is like PPP, why y'all saying PPP?
Mm-hmm.
It takes just as much effort and breath to say public-private
These are not
partnership.
the same things.
No, but I'm
What are you
saying
talking
there are
about?
different jargon and different words.
PPP will only mean that one thing.
Because that's not the first PPP I thought of.
What were you?
I wasn't thinking of public-private partnership.
You
but I
got
was like,
well, as you said, you got to use the context.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the police have a way of speaking. Lawyers have a way of speaking. Laws are written a certain way. All those things kind of sound the same stilted way, but they're all written very differently. We are free to say perhaps what we need to do is get the police to stop talking like that if we don't want it to seep into the public.
Totally agree.
Right? And that's fine, right? Because if they're going for a standard English that we all could agree on, then fine, that's whatever. But at the same time, we know that when that person who's in the Bahamian context, we know the people who are saying that, whenever they start talking, we're not thinking that they're speaking normally anyway.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Had you holding for a while. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us. Let's read these text messages. 422-4796. This person says here, you guys need to visit a cousin of mine. Responsibility is sponsibility. Solenoid is sillynoid. And Mother's Day is Mama's Day.
How often does this person say solenoid?
Yeah, well, that's very strange. But okay.
That's true.
But very, they might be intentionally doing this stuff. That one.
I don't even know what a solenoid is.
And it must be an engineer. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right.
I remember it from high school.
Right. This that's not okay. This person says, "You know what I'm meaning?" That one bothers them. Okay. Reverse back again. Yeah.
Does reverse back really upset people? So these are people who are also upset when people say big, or mad. Because that's what reverse back is. You're doubling up to show this is the importance of it.
No, I don't think that's what's happening
it is.
there.
You could double up on stuff. I'm telling you.
No, that's just
reverse back.
No, it's not the same. They're not doing that for emphasis.
Okay,
Look,
that's urgency. I know. I'm not saying that they're doing it like.
But big, that how big it was.
Yeah.
And mad, like, oh boy, you're not just one mad.
Well, actually, Stephen, what does emphasizing reversing mean?
Yeah, what, you really gotta gun it? I don't understand.
I want you to reverse back. No, reverse back.
As opposed to reverse. So just
forward.
one step.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
No, it's because reversing is a difficult task. For some people don't know how to reverse. All these people
I think you need a timeout to think about what you're saying.
It's okay. It's like hello.
Just say hello to him. Hey, hello, Steve. Hello.
Right.
Hello.
So you can realize how rude hello is.
This person says here, we'll perform an autopsy to determine the exact cause of death.
Which part of that don't you like?
I guess you don't need to say.
Do you remember having a
determine the
conversation
exact cause of
inside this building about electrocution or electrocuted? Where can a person be electrocuted to death because electrocuted implies that they died?
Right. Yes. Remember that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that one. I mean, again, I don't know if that's a Bahamianism.
No. That's not. I'm not saying
autopsy to determine the exact cause of death, and that people say that every day. But
I'm trying
yes,
to. What is the part
that's
of that?
like reverse back.
What part of autopsy to determine?
Because they just say you will perform an autopsy. Full stop. Because that's what autopsies do. You don't do that to decide what to do for dinner. You're only doing an autopsy to determine the exact cause of death.
But that's assuming that somebody knows what autopsy is.
Well, so maybe you'll
And
perform
once
a
again,
procedure.
The people who say autopsy perform to figure out the cause of death are usually that's in a newspaper or something.
Right.
And you're supposed to write for a 5th grade level.
Yeah.
So
that one's a little different. Yeah. This one says I have a problem with the actual pronunciation of some words. 2 examples.
Did they write it phonetically?
Oh, Bohemian and radio.
Okay, I do have a problem with people saying bohemian to make
Yeah.
bohemian sound fancy because it's a different word.
Totally different thing.
But Bahamians do that? Because I've never heard a Bahamian do that.
Somebody did it. What today is? Today is
Bahamian.
Friday.
A Bahamian
Not
did
so
it.
much
Yes.
bohemian, but bohemian. As a bohemian, and that
Yeah,
kind of
but I
thing.
mean, like somebody said bohemian, like to
Yeah.
describe something, and they're like
a lot of foreigners do that.
Yeah, 'cause they
Yeah,
don't-
foreigners do it.
Bohemian.
Yeah, but they also don't say the, and so
Right. Radio. Yeah. Well, I mean, that might be just an accent thing, right? Yeah, right. Maybe where you're from in the country or something, or.
Oh, I have one, but I don't. Now I'm thinking that it's just me. But the way that I learned to write the name of the country is
Capital T
if I
H.
write the Bahamas is capital T.
right, it's a capital T because the is a part of our name.
It's the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is the full name, right?
No, the Bahamas has a name. The is a part of our name.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That is a derivative of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to just shorten to be the Bahamas. But I feel like I'm seeing now
Yeah, people,
like a little T, and I'm just like, when did this happen?
Well,
And I'm like, I read it all the time, and I'm just like,
I used to do
Oh.
that by somebody from the Dominican Republic. No, not Dominican Republic, Dominica. That I was writing the name of my country incorrectly.
With the
And she
with the
gave
big
me a lecture.
T?
No, with a small T.
Oh, you were. Oh, okay.
Right, and she gave me a whole lecture about that. Get your country's name correct.
did you lecture her back on the nuances of how English evolves?
No, because she was correct. You don't names are proper, so it's different.
Oh, okay. This
unless it's Dwight.
Right.
Dwight.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this person says here another one that bothers me is when people say pleasant good morning. Why does that bother you?
Oh, those are people who are like you don't know how.
This is one for Stephen.
You ever wrote that one too?
Oh no, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, what's
No, but
wrong
people
He
do complain
thinks that
about
it's rude to say pleasant to people you don't
No,
know.
people will complain because they're like, "Oh, you don't know how my day going."
Oh,
you know what I like to
Oh,
do? Whenever
well,
somebody
that
tells
person's
me,
just a grump.
if somebody tells me, "I hope you have a good day or a good morning," I'll be like, "Don't tell me how to live my life."
Wow,
that's my general.
Well, that's just you
response.
being funny, or you being Steve. So my brother does this. He says he answers the phone, "Good morning, hello." It bothers me, but and he's got my nephew saying it now too.
Saying what?
Good morning, hello.
Probably he's probably saying hello for y'all.
Oh, I do have one though. I don't know if this is Bahamian or this is just men. But
Just men?
Yeah.
when they say
But I
female?
did have somebody. Well, I have to say I was not happy about like where I was, and I was trying to get out of that particular building and that event, and this random guy was just like, "You should smile," and I'm like,
You have a problem with people telling
but
you that?
telling me that I need to smile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a problem with it too.
Yeah.
I mean, with women telling me to smile, which is often. I got that too.
Wow. Okay. You think that's a Bahamian thing?
Oh no, that's just people.
I'm
intruding
I'm
on
not
other
sure,
people.
but I don't know. I feel like sometimes I think maybe just Caribbean people anyway. I'm probably African people. Like
No, that's
it's like they don't like. There's no real boundaries. Like people won't have a problem telling you you're putting on weight. You know what I mean?
Oh boy. Yeah. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Like it's like they don't mean it to be, they don't mean it in a bad way. But you're just like, wow, you could have like not said that particular thing.
Yeah. That's quite something. All right. A couple more of these before we wrap this up. Somebody says here, yes, man of God. They say that's come from Medea. And we're mocking it. I know
No.
Medea is mocking it because people say it.
Right, that exists. I've heard people
that's
say that
been going on for a
before.
long time.
Medea was popular.
Yeah, definitely.
Man of God. Is that when like people say? Is that the same as putting the T after Lord?
That's what they're saying it is, but I'm
it's similar.
suggesting that
You don't think it's the same similar thing?
I mean, maybe kind of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
This person says to you all. I think they're saying. Oh, okay. No, I can't read that one out Yes, so more people talk about the Screets thing. Screets.
Screets.
Oh, this is a good one. After David. That is
What?
all over this
Oh,
country.
yeah, After David,
After
yeah.
David. You need to sign the After David. Yeah, that's
I've never experienced
Yeah, that's true.
You've never heard that, Stephen?
Not unironically.
What?
Or ironically? Is that how you which prefix do you guys use?
No, that's I've heard that in court. I've heard that.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
over.
that's true. I have heard that.
After David, all over.
After David, yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
Mm.
People talking about the days of the week, how we pronounce it. Especially Wednesday, getting lots of issues. Okay. Yeah.
The most impossible name to spell.
What? Wednesday? What about tennis instead of saying sneakers? No, you're just being picky here. What's the
No, I'm
That's a
I don't
that's a
like
lexicon situation.
Is that I don't see the problem.
That's not a problem.
Me either.
That's just people have different words for different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
So
They can say, why don't we say trainers?
This is getting a little people exposing some things about themselves. Okay, pork chop instead of pork chop. What? Okay. Getting the car tilted instead of tinted. No, I've never heard this one before.
I've never heard that. Although pork chop sounds like if you made like a
Maybe that person just
cartoon
can't cook and
series,
they didn't know
that
to
would
tell
be a
you.
good role for the pig.
Well, that reminds me where you get with the cutlass, you get chopped, but people will say chop, of course.
No, that's a different word.
That is it a different word?
I mean, it might descend from the same place, but so if an old person called, they could tell you the difference between juk and jick and like there's
Really?
different ones.
Juk is different from jick?
I think so. I think juk and jick are the same
Is it
thing.
the angle of the knife?
It
If
might
you-
be. It might be
if you
overhand on
go
that
up
thing.
versus down or
Right.
straight into.
Yeah. It's something I can't remember what it is, but somebody said, but like there are different forms of stabbing.
Okay.
Right, and so I think.
What is the past tense of that though?
Of what? Of jick?
These all sound like present tense.
Would have
Chick
juk.
and
Well,
juk.
that's
Would
because
have juk.
you guys are applying.
Would have
guys are
juk.
applying
Yeah, okay.
laws and language
Oh.
of one language to another language. So
All right, I think we need to wrap this up.
I think it's probably you juk, I juk, he, she, or it jacks. Maybe it's that.
no, this is not French.
Wow. All right. People are just really responding with lots of these. I appreciate you all. We need to do this more often. Stephen, you're going to be up for it. You're going to tell us hello and walk out the door.
Why would I do that?
I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Royanne. Thank
I'm
you so
always
much.
going to tell Stephen hello.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
from
going to be a
now- from
thing
now
now.
on.
Every time he calls me Dwight, I'm going to say hello.
Right.
And then
And it
we will
makes
be
sense in the
even.
con- It makes sense in that context.
Right. Hello, everybody. We'll be back with more after this.
Out loud. I am a behemoth. Come on, sing it out loud. I am a Bohemian citizen, 242 resident, native son of the 8 Mile Rock settlement, highly intelligent, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce Papa Smurf in the element. Bohemian accent, smooth and so elegant, using it in a rap song to make it sound eloquent. Any place other than this is irrelevant. Tropical paradise, beauty is evident. This goes out to the Bohemian government, leaders of the country, members of parliament. Each and every settlement needs some development. If you ain't encouraged, then this is encouragement. We are in a country that's healthy and prominent. Visitors visit and they leave with astonishment, only to return again. I am very confident. I am sure as high as a Bohemian. Yo, we come a long way and we just begun. Come on, lift up the heads to the rising sun and just sing it out loud. I am a
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, July 15th.
Not hello?
No, not hello. Friday, July 15th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. If you're listening, you know what that was all about. But Dwight Strong along with Stephen Hanna for you. And this morning we are talking with the Bahamian Contractors Association. We're very pleased to have back with us our good friend, Trustee Deborah Deal this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. It's
Great to have you
be
with
here
us.
again. Oh, can I take my
Yeah,
mask?
yeah,
Oh, please,
sure.
God. Thank you, because otherwise I'm going to sound muffled all morning. Yes, great. It's good to be back here, and it's good to actually be here representing the Bahamas Contractors Association
Good
as
to
well.
have you in
Yes.
studio. All right, so for those who might not be familiar, tell us about the Bahamian Contractors Association. And it is Bahamian, right? It's not,
It is.
or is it?
It is Bahamian.
Bahamian,
Yes,
not
ends with an N.
Bahamas.
Correct.
Mhm,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they're going to send us money to pay for your tickets. Make sure you put the N there and not the S, otherwise we won't get it, and we'll be so upset.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, the association has been. I would say probably about 50 years,
Wow.
something like that.
Mhm.
And it generally every year there's an election, or every 2 years there's an election. And of course, with COVID, I think that kind of messed things up a bit. So
Mhm.
it was probably 3 years before there was an election. And we had our election in April the 14th, actually. And so the new board was chosen. The president is Leonard Sands, who was the president before Michael Pratt. Tamika Hanna is the secretary. Hubert Edwards is the treasurer. And Tamika Hanna, I'm sorry, is the vice president. The secretary is Tyrone Thurston, and the treasurer is Hubert Edwards. And
Right.
then there's the rest of us, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
There's directors, and then there's a trustee. But I wanted to be a trustee, that the Contractors Association has a climate and environment committee, because with what's going on these days, and with the building code being changed and adapted to climate change, and us adopting the Caribbean Renewable Energy Code, which also includes air conditioning, refrigeration, and a lot of new electrical codes, there's going to be a lot of changes that people are going to have to actually do.
Right.
And they have to do them because otherwise our energy costs are going to be too high, our carbon emissions are going to be so high, and we're not going to be able to meet the deadline and the 1.5 degrees centigrade that we've said that we're going to do. So that was the purpose of me being a trustee and not a director, where I would not have been able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a lot of this is a time of change. A lot happening, or
It-
about to start happening.
Yes, well, actually, I know a lot of persons are wondering, so what's going on? The Contractors Act was passed a couple of years ago, and what's going on? Well, we did actually meet on May 25th, and at the same time, there was an appointed registrar, because what was the holdup was, once the act came into place, then a board had to be chosen. And from the board being chosen, there had to be persons that the Contractors Association submitted names of contractors to be a part of this, and then also the Ministry of Works would also do the same thing. And that had never been done. It had been done partially, but I don't think there was a registrar before, and now there is. Her name is Dr. Melissa Hall. She was also at the meeting with us. So now that this has happened, all of the recommendations for the persons to be a part of that board have all been sent in, and now it's Dr. Hall's job, I guess, or responsibility to make sure that comes to fruition. And then they also have to find a location, and they have to find money, and all of these things for all of this to happen. So it's finally in motion. So a lot of people don't know that. I think this is a perfect opportunity to let people know that it is actually in motion. Another thing that I'm here really to talk about is we're having our first Contractors Association meeting in the form of a luncheon. Anybody who knows about the Bahamian Contractors Association, they did luncheons once a month at Sandyport Poop Deck, and they always had a guest speaker. And so our first one is going to be next Tuesday. It's going to start at 12 and end at 1:30. And the guest speaker that we have is Anna Paz, and she is a procurement specialist for IDB. And why we thought this was such an important time to actually, first of all, it's our first meeting. Second of all, there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. And third, IDB is generally the person, the people, the entity that actually has these projects that are coming out for persons to bid on. And there's a lot of things that we need to get the general public and the contractors to know, because there's a lot of, I guess, false ideas of what happens. Because people go, oh no, it's an IDB thing. Oh great, so that means foreigners are going to get the job. Bahamians aren't going to get anything. It's not, they don't understand the whole concept of it. So that's why we thought we need this person to come and talk about what is procurement. How does it go? Who gets to bid? And how do we get on the actual list, right? Okay, so what happens is if IDB is sending something out to bid, and let's say it's to do with energy. I'm going to use that as an example, right? So the funding, the government has joined forces with IDB to get these things that are issues that need to be dealt with, and IDB researches and does stakeholder engagement, and they understand the issue, and that they have a solution, and they know how much it's going to cost, and this is going out to bid, right? What happens is they don't get money from the government, or they don't use their own money. They are a sourcer for money. So the money could come, the loan could come from, it could be a loan or a grant, depending on how it's structured, but I'm just going on the finances. It could be coming from EU. It could be coming from the World Bank. It could be coming from Jeff. It could be coming from 5Cs. It could be coming from any number of entities that actually lend money for this, right? And they are the ones who govern what countries and who can actually bid on these projects. Truthfully, we've bid on projects, on road projects and things like that with the Ministry of Works, and Commonwealth countries were all allowed to bid on them.
Wow.
So, so it's not just IDB, or it's not just, certain banks and certain things that come up that are allowed, everybody's allowed to do it, or we're not restricting Bahamians at all. It's just that these other people can bid on it because the country that's giving the money allows them to actually bid. Now, we have a benefit. If somebody is coming in to bid on it, they have to pay for permits, they have to find places for people to stay, they don't know, et cetera, and what? And
hello,
Dwight. They don't know what goes on, right? But we know all of those things. So if we're bidding on this, we should be able to get that project, unless we don't have the experience. But truthfully, we have most of the experience that we need in this country. And another thing is we can also join and become partners with a foreign entity that is also in, bidding on the same type of things, whether it's roads, seawalls, energy, whatever it happens to be. We can join forces with them.
How often does that happen?
Not often, because a lot of times, these are the reasons we need to have to this luncheon and hear what the truth is. Let's hear how we can actually be globally able to bid on things, because we also, as a Commonwealth country, can bid in other countries as well. So we need to understand that we have all these opportunities, but we spend so much time talking about the fact that we don't, although we don't really know the facts. And that was the reason we wanted to start this off with IDB and a person talking about procurement, because we really need to understand that there is a lot of advantages and a lot of things coming up that are going to be out to bid probably next month. And we need to make sure that people know about it, understand it, and we also probably need to start doing some classes in how to actually apply to be a person to bid with IDB or Bahamas Development Bank or whatever. We need to start doing that.
Who can attend the luncheon?
Anybody can attend.
Okay.
Anybody can attend. We're just doing it as we are the contractors and contractation, and of course we would like the membership also to attend. But whether it's a contractor or whether it's a regular person, it doesn't matter. The regular person could become a member of the Contractors Association.
Yeah.
You know, we don't limit it, you must be a contractor, you must be this. We don't limit it to that, just like the Chamber of Commerce doesn't limit it to you must own a business. You can be an individual member for the Chamber of Commerce as well. So these are, I think the sooner we can dispel all of the fallacies that go on with bidding, I think the better it will actually be. And we can actually start working as a team, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah. All right. So how many members do you have in the association now? Do you know?
I wish I knew. I
Yeah.
think it's like 300 or something like that. I could be wrong. Leonard and Robin would probably
Right.
know those figures better than I would.
I think the last time we spoke on the show about this, there were issues with who is considered a contractor. So I know we had that discussion on the show recently.
Well, Well, you know, one thing that we are going to have to do with the Contractors Act is even though persons will be able to be grandfathered in, you are still going to have to take a test.
Wow.
Yes, because grandfathering in and continuing to work if you're not working properly is not going to benefit the people of the Bahamas when contractors are being hired and they don't know what they're doing, or they've been doing it in a certain fashion and things have changed, because as you know, with climate change, the codes have changed, you know? How we do things have changed. Even how we clear land has changed. We can't just go and bulldoze a piece of property anymore. We also need to make sure that people out there, contractors and regular persons, know about the Forestry Act and the amendment to the Forestry Act in 2014 and the Subdivision Act. We need persons to understand that, you know, our pine forests and our trees are also a carbon sink, which the country could be getting financial benefits from in the trading of carbon credits. So these are the things that we need people to know. So there's
when do you think that's going to happen? And what would this test look like? What would it be like?
Well, actually, we discussed that, and I think we will have to meet again with Dr. Hall to basically see how that actually works, because there was also, because the Act originally had a time frame on it, but because of COVID, the time frame had passed. There was some adjustments that needed to be done. And the ministry's lawyer was also in attendance to make sure that everything in the document was done properly and everything was adhered to. So it was a very good meeting. But what we will probably do as the Contractors Association, this is what we've talked about anyway as the board, is we need to start doing courses. We need to start doing that. And I think Leonard had a virtual meeting with Disney and BTVI yesterday or the day before. I don't know what the outcome of that was yet, but you know, we are in negotiation with the idea of doing courses and classes for persons.
Wow, what's the reaction been like from older contractors? Are they feeling like this is some way to edge them out of the industry?
No, there's no way they're going to be edged out. You know, if they are a contractor and they're going to be grandfathered in, there's a time frame which they can be grandfathered in, but they're also going to have to take a test. I mean, that's just the way it is. Even if you wanted to build a house for, let's say, the Ministry of Housing, there's also a test that you have to take there as well. You know, it's not just that you can walk in and say, okay, well, here's my business license, and I have a tape measure on my hip, so therefore I'm a contractor.
I've been doing it for 40 years.
Yes,
that's not going to be,
we know what. Some of us have been doing stuff for 40 years wrong.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, persons know. And there's standard things that would be a part of a test. You know, it's not like we're going to give somebody questions on something, let's say building a 5-story building or something like that. I mean, because the different levels, you know, we have contractors that just do renovations, right? We have contractors that build homes, or we have contractors that do large projects. We have contractors that work only in the Family Island. So there's many different, and then there's contractors are electrical, they're plumbing,
Right.
it's heavy equipment, it's, you know, there's many different forms of being a contractor. It's not just a carpenter or a mason. So everybody is included, and that's what we really need to do with the Contractors Association. We are really looking to bring the subcontractor contractors
Yeah.
in as contractors to the association, because I'll tell you what, we can do a lot more as a group than we can do as one person
Yeah,
or as
yeah.
10 people.
And you say it's all about having standards and across the board standards.
Yes, across the board standards. We
'Cause
have to.
The last time as well, that you hire someone to do a job, and a couple of years later, you hire someone to fix what was done, and the person says, "Oh my gosh, they shouldn't have done this. Why would they do this?" And you're like, "Well,
I'm
why are you
wondering
all
in those
doing-"
instances.
Right.
I'm wondering where the building inspector was, whether it's the one that comes from the bank, or whether it's the one that comes from the Ministry of Works. Although they're more interested in the structural than they are in how crooked the crown molding is. But the bank inspector should know that. But then a lot of people hire a contractor, don't go through the bank, and because they don't know what is good construction, because you can see so much bad construction just driving around Nassau and the Bahama Islands, that they just consider that it's okay.
Is it, so there's not like a checklist, although I feel like a layman wouldn't know what to look for. Like to be like, all right, or what should a person do? Let's say I look for a contractor myself. Should I be like, oh, I need you to, do you have a certification in this, or is there like a...
What I normally do is I normally tell people to give names of persons you have built for, call them, or the person is built for, call them, call the people, ask if you could possibly come and see the building that they have done. Not just take the recommendation, because the recommendation might be based on not knowing what is supposed to be done,
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, but like, for example, the BCA,
Yes.
right? Do they have like a list of contractors in good standing or something that like...
In good standing, unfortunately, in the world means that your dues are paid. That's all that means.
Oh, there's not like a list to say, oh, this person has recently taken this, or this is a gold star
That's
contractor.
what the intention was when the Contractors Act was put in place, and then COVID hit. So all of those things have now been pushed back to us now.
But that is the goal.
Yes, it is. It is to be whether you're I don't know whether you're a level A, B, C, D, or a level 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
They're going to eventually it will be in those categories, right? Yeah.
Is it going to be like, like a QC, and you get to charge more because you're level A or something like that, or is that not what we're going to? Because we
Well,
don't.
I'd imagine that your price would go up just because you'd be more in demand if you're a certain level.
Well,
that would be scary.
No, I don't think anybody should charge more. I mean, in the old days, I used to see people that they would charge because a job was out west instead of east. They'd charge more. Why?
Old days.
Why?
I think that's still happening.
Well, that's ridiculous. It costs just as much. The materials cost just as much. The only thing that would be more drive west, then you have gas to pay. Other than that, people do tops. Oh, sorry. There are building companies that do free deliveries for you, so it's not like you have to pay for the deliveries. So that's just craziness. I think these are the things that we have to get rid of.
Yeah.
We have to get rid of all of those things. I want to give an example. In Blair, there's a brand new building built right on the corner of, I don't know, St. Andrews Drive and whatever that main road is.
Eastern Road.
No, not.
No,
not
you
the
come
Village
in.
Road,
You come in.
the one in Blair.
Yeah, you come in at Tropical
see.
Nursery, and you go in
Yes.
to
Okay.
the T
I see.
junction.
Yeah.
The T junction on the right hand side. Somebody has been building a house incorrectly. It was stopped for a while because the roof members are 2x4s instead of 2x6. If you drive by now, you're going to see the window height is like at 7 or 8 feet, and the door height is like at 6 feet. Doors are supposed to be the same height as the windows. If you see the fascia board on the building, it waves up and down because it hasn't been done. No one's pulled a line. Nobody knew what they were doing. But whoever is building that for that person is going to think that that's okay, but I have to take another route because I can't look at that.
Wow.
To me, I find that offensive that these things are being done. And it's a plywood and tar paper house. Why? Did you not see it, Dorian? Did you not see what happened during Dorian? I took photographs of, let's build in a way that a hurricane is not going to blow your house down. And let's build in a way that we don't have to later go to government and say, please help us. Our house is gone.
So the Bahamian Contractors Association, seeing that, can't step in and do something or say
Well,
something, or is that inappropriate?
Myself
or?
and somebody in that lives in Blair actually did go to Craig Delancey and did report it. I don't know what has come from it, but that has been done. And just so that you know, the Consumer Protection Commission actually contacts us as well. And
Right.
I went to see a project on Friday and with Mr. Darling, and to do a report on something that was done that the client was saying has not been done properly. So I just went and looked at what was done, and Mr. Darling, and from there, I guess they will go. So we know we do provide a service. I'm not saying that I'm a perfect builder. I'm not saying that Leonard is or Robin is or any of us are. We have our way of building, but we also know what is right and what is wrong, right? And certain things, because we know standards and because we have built to standards and to code, that we know exactly when we see something that is not right. Right.
So,
right?
So like something, for example, like how you said, the roof is supposed to be 2x6 and not 2x4, right?
Uh-huh.
That
could be 2x8, depending on the span. But I'm
right.
just saying.
But that's a code situation, right?
Yes.
And so wouldn't that mean this person then, like, this house isn't up to code? Like, that feels like a legal issue.
Well, it's a.
And
again, I don't know the person who's building it. I don't know whether they put in I don't know whether they have a permit. I don't know whether they've had inspection. I don't know any of these things. All I know is I look at it and something. That's the only thing I can say. I don't know anything else about the rest. But
no. I mean, I wasn't even asking specifically about
Yeah.
that. Just in the sense that when something is not up to code, like what happens, and then also what determines.
Well, there's
if
you're going through the Ministry of, if you're really doing it properly and through the Ministry of Works, you get a stop work. Okay. If something is not right, you will get a stop work.
And how often do they come to inspect?
Well, you have to put in an application for an inspection of whatever it is, whether it's footings, foundation, floor, columns, belt, course, roof.
For each
and then
important stage.
For each of those stages, you have to put in the inspection, and you have to make sure an inspector goes and does the inspection. Most times, even when I started building 39 years ago, I'd have to pick up the building inspectors to take them because they never seemed to have enough cars. But it doesn't really matter. You'd still get your inspection done, and you know it's done, rather than asking if it's been done, and then you don't know whether anybody really went. Wow. I'm one of those people that I really want to make sure that this was done. So and if there's something is wrong, they will give you a stop work, and then you would actually have to head a building control and correct it, and then have somebody come back out, an engineer or whatever, do an inspection, which you would have to take to the Ministry of Works. And then they would either give you permission to go ahead or not.
The reason why I was asking is like, all right, so for example, and me and Dwight was talking about this earlier, there's a lot of buildings that every 2 to 1 year, this building has mold, this building has mold, right? And
mold?
Yes.
Okay, well, that has nothing to do with building code. That has to do with insulation.
Right, but I'm saying, shouldn't something like that be part of building code?
Well, that's what I said earlier at the very beginning. We are adopting the Caribbean Renewable Energy Code, which includes air conditioning and refrigeration as well. Insulation is a part of that, right? And not insulation at R5, which Jamaica and Trinidad have, because they've got mountains and breezes and everything else. It's a minimum of R19. Also, I really have to talk about the luncheon, so don't let me.
No, we'll get back to that. We'll definitely get back to that.
But also with air conditioners, right? In Florida, you can't buy a 13 SEER anything because all it does is bleed energy. And the condenser is basically running 24/7, so it's not energy efficient, right? So even with that, the minimum will be 16 SEER. I only will use 20 SEER. I won't buy anything less. With a 20 SEER air conditioning, my electricity bill went up like $12. And I went 10, 11, or 12 years without air conditioning because my bill was so high that I couldn't afford to actually pay it. So I just went without it. And I now have air conditioning, and my bill, like I said, goes up minimally because I have isonine in my attic. I have a 20 SEER. You hardly ever hear it go on.
Right, and I'm less concerned about yes, energy efficiency and global warming, cool, but also the immediate effect of
mold. You won't have mold.
Right.
Think about this.
So shouldn't that then? I feel like that's something that we need to fast track as soon as possible.
Well, it is. Okay. So the reason that you get mold is your attic in this country is 140 degrees in the summer,
and
right?
The condensation.
And then if you have air conditioning and you have only sheetrock choice, and then you have your sheetrock or wood, So you have 140 degrees above the sheetrock, and below the sheetrock you have 70 degrees. That is a 70-degree difference, which most people say, well, that's not much. But think
that's a
about,
lot.
Huh?
That's a lot.
Well, but some people are going to say, well, 70 degrees, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing. 102 degrees would be the 70-degree difference. So you think about that. So you've got hot and cold. And then at the nighttime, it cools down.
Yeah.
So when it cools down, you get condensation. That condensation goes to your ceiling. And then in the morning, if it comes back up, the condensation doesn't have time to dissipate. It's
Right.
still there. It's formed mold and mildew.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. So we need to stop that difference in temperature because it also costs so much in energy to actually air condition a building like that. When you are fighting against, you've got an air handler that has to take all that air from the building up through a 140-degree attic space to take all the moisture out and cool it and get it back down again. It's tough. And so that's one of the things that we have to do because energy is expensive and energy is used mostly done by fossil fuels, and we need to decrease our use and dependence on fossil fuels.
I want to ask you about the inspection. So how frequently do you think we are having houses built here with no inspections at all?
Well, first of all, if you have a building permit, you have to have an inspection. And if you don't and you try to get an occupancy certificate, you're not going to get an occupancy certificate because you haven't had any of your inspections. And then you're going to have to get an engineer to come and inspect you're going to have somebody dig down and check to make sure your foundation
So it
was
shouldn't
done.
be happening.
It should not be happening is what I should say, is what I can say.
But what do you think?
I don't know. I
Because
don't
you
want to
will see
speculate.
things like this all the
She wouldn't
time.
be able to
You,
speculate.
you
Yes.
can drive around and say, how did that happen?
Well, I can see stairs on places, and I don't want to give names of places,
Yeah.
but I will send you
Stairs
photographs.
always a crooked.
Well, and they're not. Some of them are 4 inches. The next step is 7. The next 9, and your inner ear cannot walk upstairs like that
Right.
without you tripping and
Right.
falling.
And railings that are like 3 feet.
Or balconies
yeah.
that have no railings. How
Yeah.
did they get an
Oh, my
occupancy
goodness.
certificate? How
Right.
did they do that?
And there's so many of those.
Yes.
We will talk about the lunch. Give us a second, but let's take this call really quickly. Good morning, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
I have a question and a comment for the lady. First, when you find a step like the way you described it, that means people doesn't know their
Math.
mathematics, their math.
Absolutely.
And then my question to you is, right, if you find out that a building, if you see a problem within a building, right, don't you supposed to find out who passed the plan for that building and area?
Well, it wouldn't be who passed the plan, because if the plan is actually, if the plan has been approved, it's already been through the entire 24-step process. It's been to the architectural department, it's been to engineering, it's been to electrical, it's been to plumbing, it's been to all of those. So it has been passed. But oftentimes when you see an issue, it's because the person who's built it has not built it according to the plan, or does not know how to calculate an 8-foot first floor height and a space of 10 feet.
Then
They don't know how to.
Then the inspector's supposed to take the blame.
Well, but if you read the back of the inspection, it says that the government administrative works is not liable for anything. And they did that many years ago because a lot of things actually did happen.
Yeah, but they may not be liable, but then when they come to inspect, they could tell whether or not, or they're supposed to say whether or not the people are building correct.
Yes, you're correct. If the stairs are being poured, then yes, that they should actually be a part of the first floor when the inspector comes in to check the first floor, make sure everything's ready for the concrete to be done, and the stairs are actually done. They should have done that, yes.
Well,
If it's wooden ones are generally done after the floor is actually up. So, and that would be done and may not even be part of because the next inspection would be windows and doors.
Things are terrible in this country. Thank you.
Okay.
You're
All right.
welcome.
So, any timeline on when the new building codes will be put in place? What do we know?
All I know is that, well, first of all, Craig Delancey was a part of the Caribbean Renewable Energy Code that I was talking about. He was a part of the team that actually designed and did that code. So he was there from the very beginning, working on behalf of the Bahamas. So I'm very grateful for that. I think he and Melanie Roach, I think, are the ones that are in charge of doing all of this and putting it all together to get to, we need to get it to cabinet.
Yeah.
Yes.
One quick text here. This person says that we need building inspectors to submit financial disclosure forms. I know nothing about construction, but I walked in. The first thing I noticed was the roof was really crooked. How did that happen? They're suggesting some serious things
It's funny
there.
in these buildings where everything crooked. Like when you're shooting,
literally everything.
When you're filming inside some of these buildings, you'll notice that you're like, the tripod is saying it's level here, but I could see the stage doing this.
Yeah.
And you'll have to adjust your camera so that the
A lot
camera's
of
crooked.
times what will happen is if the contractor's not paying attention and not using a level and all of those wonderful things, is he may not notice it. I say he because there's not many of us female contractors. He may not notice it, but you will notice it when you start putting up crown molding.
Yeah.
You know, because those are the kind of times when, the detail, the devil's in the details, and the details come out at that point. All of the imperfections come out at that
Absolutely.
time.
Okay, so give us the details about the luncheon that's coming up Tuesday,
Yes, it's
right?
coming up Tuesday at Sandyport Poop Deck. It's $30 plus VAT, so $33, I guess it would be to actually come to the luncheon. It's going to be from 12 until 1:30. Again, we have IDB representative Ava. Yes, Ava. No, Anna Paz. I apologize. If you're listening, Anna, I apologize. Anna Paz, who is a procurement specialist, she is going to be there talking. I think it's very, very important for the general public and contractors to come to this because we need to realize that the opportunities are here. We're not taking advantage of them, and it gives us an opportunity to also talk about where we can go in the better teaching of how to actually construct and things that are majorly important that need to be addressed. And we have a bank account, if you wanted to send funds to pay for that, it's Bank Association 05165 288 9343, and it's RBC. I think the more people that can come to this, the better. I think it's very, 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 very important.
Can you pay in cash when you get there, or
I would imagine you can. I
credit
know
card?
we don't have a machine to use, so that's why I'm saying if you wanted to do online, you can always call me at 557-4845, and I could direct you as to the account or how to actually pay. But I think it's very, very, very important. And again, it's our very first luncheon or our first meeting. And first of all, it would be nice to meet the board, the new board, and to be able to there's going to be a question and answer period to ask the board all of the questions that you've asked, right? How can I want people to come and say, how can we be a part of this? How can we join in to make this work? Not just sit and look at us to do everything. What can we do as a team to make this industry a better industry than it is? Because there's so much of it, and we destroy it by the examples that we've talked about. That makes people not want to build.
Yeah.
It really does. It makes them wary.
Contractors is becoming a dirty word.
Yes, it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Debbie Deal, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate being able to be here. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break and be back to wrap things up, folks. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Sign your basketball teams up today for the Michael Scooter Reed Peace on the Streets Basketball Classic, August 1st through the 7th at the Hope Center.
Get ready for the pastors versus politicians, along with the Phil Lightburn Slam Dunk Contest, then Energy 3-point shootout, along with all championship games, live in living color at the Kendall G. Liza Gymnasium, Sunday, August 7th, beginning at 5 p.m. That's the Michael Scooter Reed Peace on the Street Basketball Classic. For more information, contact 601-4842.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Parents, it's that sweet time of year again.
What are you talking about? Any Christmas yet?
The kids are going back to school, so pick up your copy of the Nassau Guardian's Back to School Supplement, because
it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Put your students in the latest styles at the lowest prices, because summer break is almost over, and our Back to School Supplement is filled with brand name back to school supplies at discounted prices, store locations, hours, and contact details.
It's the happiest season of all.
Advertisers, call the Nassau Guardian today at 302-2300 or call your account executive to get in on the 2-for-1 insertion deal. If it's uniforms, shoes, books, backpacks, calculators, art supplies, laptops, tablets, or whatever is on your back-to-school supply list, your ad should be in the Nassau Guardian's Back to School Supplement.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
At Western Union, we have different sending options for you to use the one that fits you best. You can send money directly to bank accounts around the world, or for cash pickup by visiting our agent locations. Or you can also start your money transfer in our app and then pay cash in store. Look for an agent location near you, or download our app and send money to your loved ones abroad.
It is time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL. The government will directly receive 85% of the initial revenue generated from the sale of the country's blue carbon assets and will benefit from a 49% ownership stake in the management company that will oversee the monetization of the carbon credits. That's according to Prime Minister Philip Davis, revealing this yesterday, saying the government entered into a heads of agreement with Carbon Management Limited, which comprises a team including scientists from Beneath the Waves, who are spearheading the mapping of Bahamian carbon assets, and Bahamian securities and capital markets experts. They're all a part of this. Anthony Ferguson and Antoine Bastien. You can read more about it in today's Guardian Business section. The government will implement an increase in the minimum wage before the end of the year, according to Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis. He confirmed this yesterday during the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association's Board of Directors meeting. During the meeting, Halkitis, who was the BHTA's keynote speaker, explained that the work of the National Tripartite Council, which is comprised of the representatives from the government, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, and the National Congress of Trade Unions, and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas Trade Union Congress. He says this work should be completed and ready for implementation of an increase before the end of the year. When asked about the implementation of a livable wage, Halkitis says that the implementation will take longer, as that is a much longer-term project. Atlantis Paradise Island is experiencing a strong booking pace this year and is expecting strong group bookings for 2023. That's according to the resort's vice president, Jackson Weish, who made the remarks at that BHTA directors meeting, explaining that the hotel is well ahead of its projected occupancy rate for this year, 90% of the bookings in 2019. And Goldwyn Resort and Residences will begin to hand over units to residential owners by the end of the year, and they expect paying customers to begin coming into the boutique resort by February 1st of next year. That's according to the property's chief operating officer, Donald Adam. You can read more about that in today's Guardian Business section as well. Overseas, dock workers at Germany's North Sea ports on strike today in the latest of several walkouts that have added pressure on shipping as their unions demand a hefty pay rise to counter high inflation. The 48-hour strike, which is to end on Saturday morning, has largely paralyzed cargo handling at major ports, including Hamburg and others. It allows a 24-hour walkout in June and a previous one-shift warning strike. However, there will be no further strikes before late August under a deal reached at the labor court in Hamburg on Thursday night, according to a court ruling. In your market watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Thursday. Your market movers, Commonwealth Bank shares closing unchanged at $9.33. Consolidated Water up 1 cent to $2.79. Emira Incorporated up 19 cents to $11.59. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,592.91, up 0.21. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we've got your final look at weather as we head into the weekend. The severe weather warning is still in place. We've got that thunderstorm warning extended now to 10:30 a.m. That is for New Providence, the Berry Islands, and Abaco. The thunderstorm watch is still in effect for Grand Bahama. Again, it's all been extended to 10:30 this morning. We're still seeing thunderstorms and strong to severe thunderstorms causing gusty winds, dangerous lightning, heavy downpours, hail, and possible waterspout or tornado activity. Localized flooding has been happening and expected to continue during rainfall events. So keep that in mind as you make your way about. And it promises to be a wet and hot weekend, so keep that in mind. Things are going to continue to be like this as we are seeing the combination of troughing associated with mid to upper level low and the northern extent of a tropical wave that will continue to support the unsettled weather across the country into early next week. That is your Morning Blend final look at weather, and that is Morning Blend Business on this Friday morning. Stephen Hanna, thank you so much for being with us today. And we'll be back on Monday with more Morning Blend Business and Morning Blend right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight's next.